regular city council meeting of September 25th, 2017. Madam Clerk, the roll.
Baldwin.
Here.
Russell.
Here.
Vixen.
Here.
Cuthbertson.
Here.
Jovenelli.
Here.
Peterson.
Here.
Ray.
Here.
I stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening on this warm September 25th. Who would have thought? Next, we move to public comment. Our first scheduled public comment is a presentation from Senator Marty Nolenberg. Well, look at your timing was impeccable. Welcome. You're on. You can go ahead.
Marty, you're up.
You're up. Yeah, I let you do it there, but I don't have a microphone for you.
I guess that's what happens when you get right on time and don't give
That's
yourself
right.
a little
It's like
chance to
saying
spread out a bit. But well, thank you. And as I've done in the past, I've tried to come here and kind of give you an update about what's going on in Lansing. And so my purpose today is just that. But before I do, I have an announcement. On October 2nd, a week from today, I am hosting a senior event. It's free. We do a box lunch. We have 60-plus vendors. We have a jazzercise group. It's a little more wellness oriented, so it should be a lot of fun. We've done this now. This will be our third year in a row. We had about a little over 600 people last year, and the year before about 500. So we keep growing each year. It's a great event. It's free, and I don't know what the age of a senior is these days. I think I might be there myself, but everybody's welcome to come by.
And where's it at?
It is at the Royal Oak Farmers Market.
Wonderful.
Yeah,
Thank you.
a week from today. So just a couple things about, before I get into the legislative update, I want to talk about my cemetery bill that passed over a year ago, and I'm giving a presentation to the City of Rochester Hills right after this. So it's more focused on them, but I want to bring it to your attention. You know, they had asked me to help them find a way so that they could allow better rate of return on their perpetual care funds for cemeteries. And so they were limited to what they could invest it in. And they had projected about a $45,000, $60,000 increase by allowing them to invest in things that would generate a greater income. And so they just informed me last week that it's actually a $70,000 gain that they experienced. Obviously, the market was good last year. That won't always be the case, but that was an idea that came to me from them. This is your neighboring city. It wasn't something that I thought of. It's just they recognized the situation. They brought it to my attention. And so obviously my being here, my message is really, I work for you. You know, if there's things that you would like me to do or to initiate, let me know. We certainly want to help. And then the other thing is Rochester Hills had asked for $500,000 worth of funding for their Innovation Hills Park, and we were able to get that into the Appropriations Committee, myself, and along with Representative Weber. So they saw obviously trying to build this park and looking for funding, and they came to us to ask for an appropriation from the state. Now it's in a grant application, so they got to go through that. But nonetheless, it was through their feedback that we were able to help them. And I just want to put that out there because I want to be able to come back here and say, I've done A, B, and C for you guys. It's because of you, not because of me.
Great. Thank
Okay?
you.
All right, so quick little legislative update. And this may sound like a broken record, but I think it's a pretty good format. The current budget, general fund budget, is $10.2 billion. The overall budget is $54 billion. And so a lot of people ask me, what's the difference between the two? The 10.2 is what we, as state lawmakers, control. The 54 includes education dollars, separate funding, and matching dollars from the federal government. And so what has happened is the federal portion has gone up by a fair amount. The state portion, not so much. In fact, it's only gone up by a couple $100 million in the last decade. But the federal part goes up. And everybody asks me, well, why is that going up and your part not? And it's really because of federal matching dollars. And so when the federal government says to us, if you give us $1, we'll give you 2, 3, 4 back, it's a pretty good deal. And so that's kind of hard to turn down. We obviously can't invest in every program that's out there, but we try to prioritize what's important to the state. And so the general fund portion has gone up by about $200,000, $400,000 in the last decade. So really, I think we're making pretty good use of the dollars that we have and still trying to take advantage of the matching program that the federal government is offering to us. Some of the priorities: public safety. We increased 150 new applicants to the trooper school. Cyber crimes is on the rise, so we put some appropriation in that as well. Skilled trades, big priority for this state. We have an aging workforce, especially electricians, plumbers, and the trades. And so we need to get younger people more interested in those trades. And so we put some funding in that as well. Revenue sharing, up $18.8 million over the prior year. In Rochester's case is 2.2%. So you'll see that in your, and by the way, we got this budget done, again early, and our budgets begin on October 1st. Most, school districts and local governments begin July 1st. So for the 7th year in a row, we got it done in June. So that gives you that sense of certainty in terms of, what you can spend. And so we try to do that. And so 7 years in a row, great accomplishment. So you should have those numbers already. Road funding is up $231 million, including $130 million for local roads. And then also we put in $35 million for infrastructure below the road. So this is the non-sexy stuff. I know, Kathy, this is one of your priorities, I know.
The water,
so this is the
sewer.
stuff below the road that nobody sees, not very sexy, but very important, almost more important than what we put on top of it, because when the below surface isn't steady, much like building the foundation of your house, everything collapses. We've seen Flint, we've seen Fraser, and so this is a start, not nearly enough, but nonetheless, a good start. Real quick, school aid budget's $14.6 billion, up $415 million, up $2 billion since 2011. We also include additional money for at-risk funding. Rochester Hills weren't receiving a lot of funding in this department. They still have kids that are at risk, and so we were able to get money in that for them. At-risk student in Detroit, and here, still an at-risk student. So higher ed up 10%. And then MIPSers, I want to talk briefly on that, and then I'll kind of open for questions after that. So MIPSers, this is the state employee teacher retirement plan. And so currently, there's a hole of about $30 billion, a big number. That number has grown 11,000% since 2000. So this problem has not been going away. And so to address it, we offered 2 plans. One plan would allow current teachers to stay in a pension system. And also, so current teachers will continue in the existing plan that they have. No, we're not touching any existing teachers. So what's being proposed is for new teachers. So new teachers will have the choice of either a pension plan not as good as the current teacher today, or a 401k plan, which is exactly the same as all other state employees, myself included. So we thought that was fair compromise to kind of get this cost under control. And just to emphasize, it doesn't affect any current school teacher in the system today. They grandfathered in whatever, the plan that they have today, they get to keep it. And so, and now, as it relates to local government, I know there's a lot of talk about, how does this affect our local government? And what we're looking at this state, we don't have any specific bills, but what we're looking at is we have certain communities that are simply not properly funding their retirement system. And so, if something happens to that community, it falls back on the state. So we are looking at how we can help those communities that are falling behind and kind of help prop them up. Those communities that are funding their retirement system, we don't want to force you to change it. We believe in local control is a good thing. We don't want to tell you how to do it unless you're falling way behind. And that's really what the focus is. So when you hear, the state wants to tell the locals what to do with their retirement plan, not the case at all. It's really trying to get a handle on those communities that aren't properly funding it. So with that, I've concluded my remarks. If you have any for me, I'm happy to answer those questions.
Any from council? Any remarks? Yes. I'll first go to Councilmember Vixen.
Well, I'd just like to congratulate you on keeping the pension system for the teachers intact, for the current ones especially. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. Thanks for being here, Senator Nolenberg. Please pardon my voice this evening. Struggling with some allergies. With respect to local pension plans in particular, a few years ago we looked at potentially changing from MERS to another provider. There were some particular challenges at the time, and I think MERS has responded somewhat to our concerns about being a better funded community, and that we maybe wanted to perhaps fully fund and then ask them to de-risk our portfolio, take it out of trying to shoot for 7-8%. We needed to glide that risk downward, and we were told, in essence, no, you can't do that. We have one pool, and you will be in it regardless. And so we started to look at that as a community, and there are lots of retirement providers, right? There are other private sector folks that do this quite well and effectively for much larger organizations than us. And at that time, we were basically told, your agreement with us, your services agreement, requires you to put that question on the ballot before you can make a decision for your community, local control. And I think maybe taking a look at that again and saying, are there more efficient ways to do that, particularly for the well-funded communities? At that time as well, there was some discussion about whether MERS had a public audit in the last decade. So I think as a part of any of that, review into how local communities are doing it, I think the tool through which most of that is happening should be looked at as well, and I would commend that to
Those
you.
are great points, and that's the feedback that we need, and I thank you for that. My staff was here taking notes, but looks like I'm taking my own notes today. If that's okay.
I'll be happy to fill in
And
the
then
details
maybe just
again.
shoot me an email or something like that, but I get what you're saying, and we need to look at the whole thing, and certainly giving you some options. And is it a charter amendment thing that they brought up or not?
No, it was in the agreement, the
Yeah.
services agreement, not
Okay,
the charter.
with MERS?
With MERS.
Okay.
And I wonder
Great question. I mean,
whether
that's-
it's even valid
Yeah, let's
consideration
take
as
a
an
look, 'cause
original matter.
I think the best decisions are made at the local level, not at the state and the federal level, and so I'm happy to look into that for you.
We'll definitely follow up on that.
Okay?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming this
You're welcome.
evening. Have a great
Now I
night.
get to sit.
Thank you. Next, we will go to miscellaneous public comment. If anybody in the audience would like to address the council, now's the time to do it. Please come forward.
Dean Bavacqua, 872 Aspen Drive. I have a question regarding Community House. There's some discussion that there's some changes going on, perhaps a repurposing or sale. Is there any official comment on that?
I will just make a couple comments. One is a community house cannot be sold unless it goes to a vote of the people. So there's nothing right now, any kind of, it's not on the ballot this November, and we have not discussed that. We have been approached by somebody to maybe look at possibly, I don't know how you would,
Kind of like a letter of interest?
yeah, so we've received a letter of interest, but there's nothing that's been done. Community House is aware. The other party's aware. I am the representative that sits on the board of Community House. We had a meeting last week. It went great. Our city managers met with the Community House a couple times now.
Yep.
But there is a rumor out there that we're selling it, and that rumor is false. So in a small town like this, one person says something, and then I've got a couple emails. I've been getting emails, but I just tell everybody, nope. If we are going to sell it, it would be on the ballot. It would be on the ballot a year, and we would be getting the word out a lot sooner than putting it up that close. So no, as of now, the community house is not up for sale.
Thanks for the update.
No problem. Any other miscellaneous public comments? Hi, if you could give me your name and address, please, for the record.
Maurice Hart, 109 South Main Street. I'm here on behalf of Dominion Vape, and I noticed, speaking with Mr. Banda earlier today, that it is on the agenda 12A. So we are here to answer any questions that you guys may have for us.
All right,
Awesome.
thank you. Any other miscellaneous public comment this evening? Mr. Zook, please come forward.
Wind it up, huh? I just wanted to mention that there is, Sue Douglas, 1228 North
Thank
Main
you.
Street. There is another rumor. There are two other rumors. One is that to avoid putting it on the ballot, there is consideration of a long-term lease for a lot of money taking place. I'm just sharing. I am sharing. I'd like to get to the bottom of it, too. The second thing I have heard now in the last week or two, you guys want to get rid of Dinosaur Hill. I don't know where these things are coming from.
No, so, right,
Election year, yes.
Wonder who's proposing.
so just so you know,
But just so we bring it
Yeah.
out. I mean,
Yeah,
bring it out. And
absolutely.
let's get it off the table.
so everyone should know that the city is looking at all the property that they own. What kind of maintenance do we need? What kind of work needs to be done? What kind of leases we have? We're doing this with the DPW, the Clothes Closet, Dinosaur Hill, Community House, City Hall, the police station, the fire station. Any piece of property or building that the city owns, we are looking at it. That is all we're doing right now.
Thank you. And that is
You're
good
welcome.
to get that out. And
Absolutely.
I can tell people when I keep hearing this thing.
Yeah.
The other thing is thanks to those of you who helped end that project, that event that was going to take place. I think it was a good thing to do that. Mr. Giovanelli, I know you were active in that, and Madam Mayor,
Thank you.
and City Manager.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if I could add on, the city-owned building discussion is actually slated for October 23rd. So if we do have residents that are interested in any of those buildings in that discussion, that is coming up shortly.
Thank you. Mr. Zook.
Good evening, everybody. It's nice to see everybody again. Well, until next 2 weeks. I'd like the minutes corrected for what I spoke about last time. There seems to be an error in it. I talked about
Yeah.
the
Water bill.
renting of city-owned businesses for privately owned businesses. And I also talked about the change of address for the city. And it wasn't just for the water bills. A lot of people ask me, what were you talking about, the address? For those who don't know out there, the post office box has been removed, and it's now 406th Street that you mail your bills to.
Yeah, we did announce it during miscellaneous too, Mr. Zook, at the end of the meeting.
Okay, thank you. And Stony Point subdivision has been around for quite a few years. City still doesn't know how to spell it. This is my fourth time up here. It's Stony, no E in it, whoever's doing these in the minutes. Also, the vaping ban. I believe that the proposal in there is flawed in the language, because on the final paragraph, it states that personal vaporizers with or without nicotine shall be banned. Children, elderly, sick people use vaporizers. It needs to be specified that it's a vaporizer that is illegal. There's a lot of people that use vaporizers, and this would make it illegal for a sick person to use a vaporizer. So that needs to be changed before you take and do that. And the last thing is, as I spoke to you at Coffee with the Mayor, the DDA, all of these new condominiums that they're building, the Royal Park and the one by 7-Eleven, all of their taxes are going to be captured by the DDA and spread out amongst the businesses. I think we need to have some method, be it a zoning change, being it a map change, being it an ordinance, being it anything, to make sure that any new construction, anybody new moving into the business, taxes as a residential unit go to the city, not to the DDA. I mean, if we have a mixed-use building, it can't be that hard to say there's so many square feet, your place is so many square feet, this is how much taxes we expect from it. But to give it the big new expensive buildings, the taxes to the DDA instead of the city, in my opinion, is extremely wrong. And the amount of taxes that you would recuperate would be
as much as 4 blocks of the old section of the city. We could start, we should be planning and giving some of the money back and helping these people build up their neighborhood and make it look a little bit better.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Zook.
Okay, thank you.
Any other miscellaneous public comment this evening? All righty, we'll go ahead and move along. I have approval of the minutes, consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of September 11th.
So moved.
Support. So I have a motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, support by Councilmember Peterson with the changes.
Yes, I have discussion.
Yes, okay, go ahead, Mayor Pro
So
Tem.
we need to include the changes of the spelling and what Mr. Zook brought before us. Also on page, the perimeter, I think it's page 3, the perimeter with Vidia's review of the new district, if we could please put in what that district is and the parameters of that, just a word description. Because again, when we're looking up this information, you need to have that kind of detail so you can put that in the search bar.
Councilmember Peterson.
And I would like the comments that I had made regarding those two districts, about mirroring them with the same verbiage added to it, and as well as the correct time for Mr. Bixon coming in. There's 2 different times in there, so just wanted to make sure that no one had a problem with that.
Any other adjustments?
As long-
Councilmember Pixon.
As long as it said I was there.
That's right. No, it states you're here.
Take the 2 and split the difference.
Any other? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, I have approval of the consent agenda. I have 10 items this evening. Consideration of a request for overhead door replacement and installation at the South DPW building in lean-to structure. Consideration of a request to rehabilitate the roof on the South DPW building. Consideration of a request to award a contract to Carlos Construction and Bowen Paving to complete the paving repairs on Pebble Creek Drive. Consideration of a special event for a caroling event on Sunday, December 17th from 5 to 8 p.m. on Main Street between 2nd and University. Item E, consideration of a request to purchase new defibrillator equipment. Item F, consideration of a request to purchase a 2018 Harley-Davidson police motorcycle. Item G, consideration of a request to purchase a mower and covered trailer and sale of the remaining equipment. Item H, consideration of a request to award a contract for sewer maintenance services from Liquiforce. Item I, consideration of a request to approve 2 proposed permanent sidewalk easements and storm drainage maintenance agreement for Cedar Brook and authorize the city manager to execute on behalf of the city. And the last but not least, item J, receipt of a check register report.
So moved with, I'd like to remove a couple items.
Okay, so let's start with the items you want to remove, then I'll get a second.
Okay, remove A, B, and F.
I have a motion to remove items A, B, and F. And anybody, let's see. Councilmember Peterson, would you like to second it and add to it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Yep, I had the same ones, and that's fine.
Those ones.
Mm-hmm.
Did any other council member have any other items they would like to remove?
Well, I'll add I. I just want to make a comment regarding I.
All right, so we have a motion to approve C, D, E, G, H, and J. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
You know which letters again? No, I'm just kidding. Yes.
Peterson. Yes. Ray.
Yes.
I'll be just getting really good at the letters, then be gone. Next, we have item A, the Mayor Pro Tem.
Yeah, so item A and B are both probably needed repairs, but what I was hoping for is that we would have the plan in a bigger scope of what we were doing with the maintenance of all of our buildings. So a few months back, we did a tour of several of the buildings that we own here in Rochester. The DPW had several things that we really needed to address. We had in the budget $100,000 for a roof repair. We spent $25,000, I believe, on the assessment or the
Needs assessment.
the needs assessment, and there was $75,000 left, and so that's being used in these two areas. I guess one of the things that I would like to have a better understanding of is, I didn't have a map of the building, so thank you. So when the city manager and I talked this afternoon, so that's helpful. I figured out kind of what we were doing. So with that, I wanted to make sure that in the big plan that we're probably going to be discussing together as maybe DPW, Planning Commission, City Council, when we're doing our joint meeting, is what does this look like as a whole? And will we be spending any money twice, I guess, is the answer or the question.
Yep. So to answer your question, if I may, Mayor, so just so that everybody's aware, the two buildings that we're talking about are, I guess if my red pointer is working, is the maintenance office and storage building down here at the southern end, as well as the lean-to / shed. This is the one that currently does not have the garage doors to enclose, so equipment from rain to sun to sleet and snow all gets into that structure. This other building down here is the one that would have the roof, instead of replaced, it would have it maintained. There's a material that we can put over it to basically get a longer life out of our current roof, as well as add some insulated doors to have that area. So when we're heating, the offices as well as the storage, when they're working on equipment over there, that it wouldn't be going through the doors now that are not currently insulated. The quick answer is we truly hope that that those dollars will not be reused right now. Again, we've not finalized the plan. I know our Public Works Director has been here just since April and has been working on our water, sewer, roads, and several of our other grants. Hasn't really had the time yet. Her and I have had several discussions, but we're not quite there. We did have the needs assessment that did give us a couple recommendations, and we're going through that. We'll have a little bit more information here at the end of October and then going into goals and objectives. But the quick answer is we truly hope that by using this $75,000 to put the garage doors and repair the roof, that we're going to get some long-term value out of that. The overall project, we have not yet had a chance to formalize a full plan here before council.
Go ahead, Mayor Pro Tem.
So, and I can appreciate that, but what I didn't see in here, and I thought maybe I read it somewhere, but I could. So, are we looking to expand it 5 years, 2 years, 10 years, 15 years? Like, what is the life that we're looking? Because the thing is, what I don't want to have happen is we redo these repairs, or in the garage doors. That makes sense to me to insulate, so we're saving heat, so the heat's not, leaving the building. Those things make sense to me, but when we have an overall plan, I want to make sure that I really was hoping that this would be in the plan and we could do this, as a whole. And I know that we have worked our DPW director to death trying to get all of these, things in row. So I'm not saying that it should have, I'm not saying that we're putting this out of place. What I'm saying is I want to make sure that we're not just putting a Band-Aid on a bigger problem. And if we're putting garage doors, this is expensive, so we're putting $75,000, and if we're just putting a couple-year Band-Aid on it, and then we have to redo something with that maintenance office garage, and those doors now no longer are good because we have to replace that building. So I want to have some guarantee that, okay, this is going to be for X amount of years. And I know that there's never a guarantee per se, but something to give us the idea that this is going to be well spent $75,000 for longevity.
Yeah, and Shannon, I don't know if you want to come up to kind of talk on some of these things, but some of the materials that I've read that Shannon's provided and her staff has provided me. So, like for the repairs of the roof, I think it's 7 to 10 years has been the material that I've read. That their I guess brochure and informational component. They did not, when a couple of these vendors looked at our current roof, felt that this material would give us that life expectancy. And the garage doors, maybe Shannon, you might be able to touch on that.
My preference would be to have a complete plan for you. Just like we talked when we did the initial visit for the facilities. Unfortunately, with the time constraints that we've had and the quantity of work that you had under grant deadline, it was how do you prioritize? And we had to address the grants, or you have to pay back all of those funds. So while this was what I thought was going to be priority one when I took this position, quickly moved to priority last because of your other items. I don't want to have the city pay back millions of dollars worth of grant funds. That being said, the issue with the doors, we don't have any insulation in it. We lose a lot of heat every year. These doors will last for a long time. I don't have an exact year from them. I can get that for you, but the doors are going to last for a long time. The lean-to structure, if the lean-to structure stays, those doors will be good for the duration of that lean-to structure. The doors that are there now have been there for a couple of decades. They've had some repair work. Oxford Door has done a lot of work for us to try and keep those things maintained. They've worked very well. I expect that these insulated doors will do the same. The issue with the roof, that's the office. That's where the computers are stored. That's where the internet access is stored. That's where the server access is stored. And it's leaking right over top of all of that equipment. My preference would be to come with a permanent plan, but we don't have that as of right now. And the last I saw, the document said that you were looking at redoing the DPW in 2025. I can't let the roof go until 2025.
Okay.
It has a 10-year warranty. It'll last us, and it'll seal us up for the winter. The problem is I need 50 degrees and rising temperatures in order to get the rubberized coating on the roof. And we're quickly getting into a season where I may not see that. So it's something we need to move forward on.
And that's where, I'll jump in again. Where Shannon and I talked, we're nearing the close of the time where this actually, this material can get applied. And that's where, although in an ideal world we'd have the full plan, I just can't wait another month to bring this before you.
Mayor Pro Tem, did you have any follow-up?
I guess what you're saying is you can't wait 1 year, so that's what I'm hearing. But what I would have liked to see is saying, okay, we're losing heat. It's going to save us X amount of dollars. The roof is going to give us 10 years to 12 years extra life. Those kind of things would be so helpful because it's just not what I was looking for, and it's hard to make a decision. And I know that you have to have this, but you're always put in the hot seat because we've got all these projects going on. It's just I always feel when you're up here or several people up here, we're always in the hot seat to make the decision now because we're under a time constraint. It could be a grant, it could be water sewer, it could be you just happen to be all of those things at the moment. So it's nothing, believe me, it's nothing personal. It's just I want to get into a rhythm where we don't have to do this.
I would definitely prefer to be taking that approach myself. Unfortunately, time doesn't permit that. These were bids that were received last year. They were anticipated last year. They were held off because you guys went into your needs assessment. This isn't something new. It is something that's been out there. It is something that's been discussed and looked at by the city for a considerable amount of time. We looked at bringing it forward in July, but since we had just had the facilities inspection, we had hoped to put together a whole plan for you. Unfortunately, we haven't been able to have the time to do that.
All right, thank you.
So do you want to? I'll go ahead and did you have a question on this? Go ahead.
Well, actually, I want to just make a comment because with the lack of attention of the DPW building all this time over the years, I would approve this with administration bringing us a full update at goals and objectives, and make it a priority for the health and safety of the employees at this time, and to know that we're saving money on our equipment. I just, I don't want to do it either, but I know that we can't really hold this off.
I'll go to item F then.
Yeah, we're just, okay.
And then we can approve all four of them if so be. Next item that you had pulled was F.
Yes, on F is a consideration for the request of the purchase of 2018 Harley Davidson. I guess I didn't realize we were purchasing a second motorcycle. Why? And that was part we've changed how we're doing goals and objectives, and we're not getting into that kind of detail. But this is a seasonal vehicle. We have less than 3 square miles in Rochester. There's just so many vehicles that are needed in other areas, and to me, this just seems to be, it's around, it sounds like 5,000 miles a year that we're using this motorcycle, and it's very seasonal. I know that it gets in tight spaces. It was a tough decision even to have it for the department. So at this point, it just doesn't seem, unless there's like, we didn't have any chance to really talk about this in goals and objectives, having the second vehicle. So I'm not a big fan of this.
Okay, so we'll go to item I, and then we can vote separately on these. I think that would be the way to go. Item I, Councilmember Peterson.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. The only thing I would like is to ask administration to put our sidewalk easement maintenance program on goals and objectives so we can look at it based on this here. I'd like to see us really review that, make sure that we're doing the right things with this program. Thank you.
Council, did any other council members have any questions, comments on items A, B, F, or I?
I have
Yes,
one
go
more I
ahead.
forgot
Yes.
to add. The equipment evaluation was not with the motorcycle. Typically, we get equipment evaluation that comes with, mileage, interior, all the issues that we have for this. I didn't
Yep.
see that in this report.
Yeah, if we can, Mayor, if you don't mind, both myself and the chief actually on this item. So currently, and I think the reason why is we're planning on maintaining our current motorcycle, and so this would be an addition. We have budgeted for this one, so the current unit actually would not. This is not a replacement for that. This is in the cycle, and the other one, once it's no longer able to be maintained, would be phased out. This would allow our sergeants and our staff actually to train the other person on the motorcycle, and it's easier to do that when you're on a motorcycle to train the other person. And again, you kind of mentioned on some of the incidences that the motorcycle, quite honestly, gets into locations that, quite honestly, are the tight squeezes that our squad vehicles and the SUVs and the truck just aren't able to get into. Chief, I don't know if there's anything else you'd want to.
This was part of the regular
It
rotation.
is part of our
but
regular
what
replacement.
What we typically do is sell the other vehicle.
That's
And
correct.
instead of selling the motorcycle, we decided to keep it and utilize it for some other items. My question would be, if it starts to become expensive to maintain it, then we would turn around, or, because we don't want to keep it after it starts to become, because that's the whole idea of the rotation and.
Right.
Chief.
Yes. The 2012 motorcycle was actually scheduled for replacement 2 years ago. It was brought forth at Goals and Objectives the year before this and was withdrawn based on comments that occurred at the time. This last Goals and Objectives process, we did bring forth the motorcycle, and it was subsequently approved for purchase in this budget year. As you point out, we always do put a replacement sheet. Motorcycles are going to be a little bit different to use the sheet, but we would have put that in there had the plan been for it to be sold or we were making an even swap. Our goal is, obviously, as we've said, is to obtain a second motorcycle so that we have a second one for backup purposes. We've had situations where we've had requests to use the motorcycle or for a special event or something like that, and the motorcycle is in for repairs. So it would make that situation no longer an issue. We've also spent the time, money, and energy to train Sergeant Lyon as a motorcycle instructor, and obviously it's much easier, as the manager points out, to be able to do that when you can demonstrate on your motorcycle what the other person's riding with you is supposed to do. So those are the reasons to request the purchase as an additional motorcycle to help us with all of those missions that we use the motorcycle for. And we do get a lot. It's out today, as a matter of fact. We do get a lot of use. And if I look at other departments in our area, we're putting on more miles than many other departments do on their motorcycles. And so it is used quite frequently.
Okay, thank you. Mayor Pro Tem.
And I guess, Chief, I mean, these things all make sense. What part of that gives me a little bit of hesitation is once we have something, even when we've been given a gift, then it becomes essential. And so now we have 2 motorcycles, then does that become essential when that, first motorcycle needs to be replaced? Or because now this is replacement, that should be obsolete. And then I'm really looking for the equipment to last longer, even if it's not just a typical, if they're looking good, they're running good, they represent our community well, I'm looking to extend the life of that motorcycle, that car, that mower, that whatever that vehicle is. And so I can appreciate this. It just makes me a little bit hesitant when we have 2 motorcycles and then that next one gets obsolete. And I really, can't stress enough that I think that we should be able to really work towards making these vehicles last as long as possible.
Well, and I guess what my answer to that is by example. Example in this request, we are authorized to purchase a motorcycle and a police car. And so based on review of our fleet, which we do every year, we have said that we will not replace a patrol vehicle. Now that comes at some risk to us, but that's the way we look at that. If you look at this motorcycle purchase, last year this motorcycle was up for purchase. We withdrew the request at that time. So if you look back at our vehicle purchases, we have tried to be responsible, and we have looked at purchases that have been essentially approved or at least forecasted to be replaced and bypassed and not only a request, but looked at those things to be tried to be fiscally responsible and to try to make things last, and also to make sure that we're trying to sustain the motorcycle program for the department by purchasing the additional motorcycle for training and as a backup.
Well, and I too appreciate you trying to be fiscally responsible. And just because it's approved doesn't necessarily mean it has to happen if it's in a good shape. So I do appreciate
that's why
that.
we're here.
Yes, I appreciate
so
that.
that's the,
Okay.
it's our job and it's my job as a department head to try to, I guess, make requests of things that we feel will benefit the police department. And we certainly understand the responsibility that you have to review those and to make the best decision that you feel is to benefit the city in its entirety. So I appreciate
All right.
that.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I move to approve the items A, B, F, and I.
And I have support by Councilmember Peterson. Any more discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll, please. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you have?
No,
okay.
I'm good.
Okay.
you
Madam
very
Clerk.
You're welcome.
Sullivan.
Thank you.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Jovinelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Next, we have old business, tabled items. Continued consideration of the 2018 rah-rah budget. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, we've invited Ron, the Executive Director, to come up to answer any questions previously at, I think, one council meeting, and then we had some brief discussion at another.
Okay.
Ron wasn't able to be at that one as he was at Rochester Hills actually going through their new process, but he's here this evening to answer any questions.
Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and Council.
Council, questions for the director this evening? Yes, Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. I think at the last meeting I had asked for some additional information concerning Flip Spot and the lease that we have related there, as well as the context through which outside vendors are selected for the provision of services to RARA. I didn't see anything that was presented, and so I'm interested to understand that process a little better.
Sure. The information was sent to the city manager on September the 20th. So I don't know how it was going to be disseminated to the council, but it was passed on September the 20th.
Okay.
Yep, that one's on me. Sorry, I did not pass that along to council, but we do have FlipSpot. I think there was three
Yeah, there was three. There was
contracts.
FlipSpot, Magic Soccer, along with potential of orthopedic spine sports therapy.
Okay, and so without the benefit of that, I would
Sure.
ask for your indulgence in, excuse me, describing how that process works generally.
Sure. We will look at certain programs or services that we'd like to offer as part of RA's lineup. Example would be, I'll give you gymnastics as a case in point. Gymnastics is a vastly improving and more popular program than it ever has been, just like our dance program. We're seeing that program really take off. And rather than RA look to purchase $500,000-$600,000 worth of equipment and apparatuses for that program, we'd like to offer it. The prime example would be with FlipSpot. We offered programs through FlipSpot for many years. They utilized our dance rooms. We bought some pieces of equipment, some gymnastics equipment, but really nothing that we could offer on a more of a full-scale basis. So we looked at it from the dance instructor, myself, and also the owner of FlipSpot. How could we parlay this into and making it a bigger and better program? With the addition of the 500 building back in 2012, that gave us more adequate space to offer that service. So that program in particular was a huge program. It's highly successful. We run collaborative programs with FlipSpot for many years now, and we're looking for a long, fruitful relationship with them.
My family is acquainted with both of those
Great,
programs.
great. Okay.
What I'm referring to is the front end of the process where you say, okay, we want to provide a service, or we want to provide a program in an improved fashion.
Mm-hmm.
We think there's a potential third-party partner for that. Typically when we're looking for service providers that help us do our job, who are for-profit entities, we put things out to bid, or a request for proposals, or request for a quotation, so that a larger community has notice of our interest, right? And then we have, as a result, the confidence that we've gone to the market in some meaningful way to make sure that we're getting the best value and provision, scope of services back from that.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I'm curious to know how RA does that in a very abbreviated fashion, because I think the most recent addition or potential addition with the physical therapy service, it seems like it's begged more questions than it's answered, for me at least.
Mm-hmm.
And then I have a separate question that relates to sort of future mission and strategy and so forth. But
Sure.
I'll break those up.
Sure. In our interlocal, we do are charged with offering the services. We're supposed to offer them in-house or work with contractors. So RA's been doing this since the 40s, working with people to offer our dance instructors, our higher-end dance instructors, our gymnastics, soccer, tennis, as another prime example. We do offer them, and we look at what's the best fit for RA. Does their scope of service fit with the family offering that we're looking to offer? Some are just there for the money. So we want to see what their I guess their mission is, more or less, and how they can offer it to the public. Timing is another one. Looking at when they can offer the classes. We're looking at midday, afternoon. But to answer your question, whether or not we actually solicit, we haven't. I'm not aware of our RA's history of doing so. We had a relationship with, example, being case in point FlipSpot. That's what we kind of, it dovetailed into that service because they were there for many years with us using our dance rooms. Same thing with soccer. They used our fields. They used our what little space we had to offer indoor instruction. So we continued that service because it fit our model.
Okay. I guess where, for me, and this is sort of a lead-in, and you've heard to the next point / question, you've heard me say this before, where things start to step away from recreation, right? That and gets into the provision of services that are a little bit outside of your traditional knitting, if you will. we've had some pushback from Rochester businesses saying, hey, look, we think that kind of competes with an existing private sector business, right? That it's not really clean recreation.
Sure.
And so I think if, I have an opinion that you should probably communicate that long-term vision about what you want to bolt on to rah-rah and when, and have a real robust conversation about it. But at a minimum, I think when you're stepping outside of, core recreation activities, and maybe even within recreation activities, that when you go to put on those new services or functions, that you broadcast that and seek proposals. I think you may find that the people that you think are the best may or may not be, right?
Correct.
But you've tested it at least, and then we can say back to folks that are saying to us, hey, look, this, how do you balance this? When we say, well, look, you could have bid on it. Right? Or you had an opportunity to take a look at participating in a way with that that makes sense for everyone. And so I think that kind of a perspective being employed in some of these new approaches would be very, very helpful, and I think do a lot to calm the waters, as it were, as you navigate those new ideas.
Sure. Just because RARA hasn't in the past doesn't mean we couldn't or shouldn't look at that down the road, is to solicit other groups or organizations that want to offer that service. And what we're looking to offer with OSST is there's several communities that are offering this. We're not reinventing the wheel here. It's an offshoot or a supplement to what we're offering in the 480 building. That being the cities of Livonia, Warren, Dearborn, us, Macomb. These are all areas that are actually doing the same type of service that we're looking to offer. And that's something we're just trying to, again, we're not trying to be innovative here in a way that we're trying to break the mold here, but we're looking at it as a supplement to what we're offering. So,
Councilmember Giovanelli.
Thanks for coming, Ron. Appreciate it.
Sure.
The third visit for this one.
This is it, yeah.
We shall overcome it.
Number 3. Who's counting, though?
All right. To expand on my colleague's point, so the pushback we tend to get is the cost structure. So RARA, of course, is supported by public tax dollars, whereas private businesses are not. So that's the main argument here, right?
Yep.
So not seeing these documents, which I think we'll probably get in relatively short order, but to the extent that it's a fair market lease that's being paid for by these organizations to RARA, and it's the same that they'd be paying if they were renting it from some other landlord.
Correct.
That kind of takes that point and makes it moot. So I guess we'll find that out. I hope that's what the case that we'll find. But to the extent that there's below market rates and preferences being done, so that's where the problem lies. I don't think that that's the case. We haven't seen it yet, so I suspect that's not the case. But
I think it's right around $40 per square foot for the 580 square foot that we're looking at for the year lease.
Yeah, that's like way above Class A.
Yes, it is. Yeah, it took a couple months of planning and forecasting and working with the owner in terms of what he wanted to offer.
Well, they get built-in marketing dollars, right? So that's $40 a foot.
And
but
classes,
and
the seminars,
pool
the
of
educational
people,
services that we're going to be able to offer because this is part of the unit now is going to be phenomenal.
So that's part of the hook, right?
Sure,
so
sure.
as if I'm, so I get a building, but if I have to spend X number of dollars in advertising, I get the same draw, right?
Right.
So that's even though it's $40 a foot, they're getting a built-in ATM in terms of business. So that's the flip side of the argument. No pun intended.
Sure. Yeah. And to your point, roughly 70% of our budget is user fees.
Yeah.
Approximately 29% of it is millage monies and or allocation of money from the fund balance from the city of Rochester.
Got it. And just with respect to the salaries discussion we had before, I just want to thank the board for kind of taking our advice and taking another look at that. So
certainly.
The perception that perhaps this extra money coming from these outside sources being redirected to salaries was something that was brought up before us, and I'm just tipping you off.
It's unfortunate that that's not the correlation.
I understand that, that's the discussion point that was coming to us both from outside discussion and via email. So I'm just but I'm glad you guys kind of read between the lines and figured it out.
We'd be happy to clear the air. That's not what our mission is.
Awesome.
It certainly
Perfect.
is something to offer the programs and services we offer, and then some. We're trying to be as progressive as possible, and that's another opportunity for us to offer.
Right, and serving previously as the liaison on RARA, I can say that these guys do an outstanding job, and I have full confidence in it. But it's incumbent upon us to share with you our concerns, of course, because we are the last line of defense for public.
Certainly.
Right, the people who pay for the significant chunk of operations for but.
certainly.
all in, I think that I want to thank you guys for taking another run at the salary piece.
Thank you. Yeah, the four entities that represent or comprise of the RARA board, we have a great mix representation. We have a full board for the first time in many years. As Kim has alluded to, we've always had a couple of agencies that weren't representative, but between the school systems along with the city of Rochester and Rochester Hills, we have a very diverse board, and I'm very happy to work with them, very proud to offer this.
Councilmember Ray.
Thank you. Hi, Ron. Going back to a question that I've had about the balance of revenue from municipalities in the cost structure, to maybe nudge the rock and get a little traction on that. Not anytime soon, but within some reasonable, like maybe within the next 2 months or maybe before the end of the year. With what's available, is there any way you could look back as to the balance between, just through these budget documents, the balance between municipal funding? So I'm just looking at the pie chart. Roughly today, it's 25%, between 22 Rochester Hills, 3%.
Yes, correct. Yep.
The balance between the municipal funding and then the program fees, what that percentage correlation, you don't have to break Rochester and Rochester Hills out, but just municipal funding, and then what the revenue amount was for each calendar year. I don't know how far back I don't want you to go back,
Give me a year, I'll go that back.
40 years. I mean, just maybe like
40?
No, I was gonna say no. I don't want you to go back 40 years,
Okay.
but you go back, 10, 15 years.
Sure.
That'd be. Well,
Our annual audit would support that information. So
2000 is a nice round number.
Okay,
So let's go back to
2000.
2000.
2000 it is. Yeah, and that information is available. The first couple pages of our audit will speak to how much of our budget was user fees versus municipal contributions. So that shouldn't be an issue. So I'll get that to you right away, Ron.
Thank you.
Sure.
I guess the only thing I would want to say is thank you for coming and thank you for taking our comments at the meeting that you were at. The Planning Commission still has to hear, even though you've signed, you have a lease agreement, it still needs to go through, and I'm saying this for the benefit of the listening public too. That it has to go through the natural routes that we do. Planning Commission hears it, then it comes back, and so we move forward. And I was glad to hear that your budget didn't. You could live without having him there if something should happen.
Correct. It's
so
really
and I
not
thought
for
that
budget.
was
Yeah, it's $20,000 of a 2.5.
yeah, and I thought that was important. It's something that needed to be brought up, and I asked that question. So those were just, I wanted to make those comments to you in person.
Yes, we're working with the Planning Commission right now. I believe we're on the November agenda.
Yes.
We've been given feedback from the Planning Commission to answer questions that they had specific at their
I sit on
September
planning,
meeting.
that's why.
And unfortunately, I wasn't able to get that last
Yeah.
meeting, but we have all of our ducks in a row. We're ready to present Planning Commission and work with Nick to get those items resolved.
Yes, Councilmember Cuthbertson,
I
and then
just
the Mayor
wanted
Pro Tem.
Mention that I wanted to vote to support to move the budget forward tonight, but reserving, my right as it relates as a planning commissioner to say whether I agree or I disagree from a planning perspective. I'm not crazy about this for-profit business doing physical therapy inside your budget. Do I want to vote to blow up your budget over it? No, but I'm not crazy about it.
Sure.
And I have genuine planning concerns about it. So I want to just state that for the record. Separately, I guess to put a point, maybe like my colleague, on his question is, what is the state of RARA's current strategic plan? And when might it be updated and presented again in the future so that we can make sure the whole community is on the same page about where the organization's headed?
Yeah, RARA's never had a strategic plan. We never had anything above and beyond an annual budget. Working with Kim the last several years here at RARA, policies and procedures, capital outlay programs now that we own two pieces of property. Those are all things that we're working and coming online with. But when it comes down to programs and services that RARA offers, we have our core classes and services that we offer. But anything that comes online that we see as new or innovative, we certainly try to offer that. And when it comes down to any program that we offer, you're going to see, open up our guidebook, you're going to see some crazy, wacky stuff in there. But it's kind of new, it's trendy, it's something that we can offer. But when it comes down to our long-range mission and plan, other than offering recreational programming, it's really what the market's asking for, what the community is looking for in terms of recreational services. That's what we're looking to offer.
If
Yeah,
I may,
go ahead.
I don't know what that means,
Okay.
honestly. I mean, if you want to add goat yoga, I mean, that's interesting, right? That's recreation
We
program.
have that.
But, you know, I know guys that after a pickup basketball game want to go to BW3s. You know, are you going to start serving chicken wings and beer someday? It's an out there absurd analogy, but the point is where does that conversation begin and end, right? And when do you intend to have that conversation with the public about what additional, not recreation programs per se, but things that are different than recreation? And again, physical therapy is adjacent to recreation. What is the next thing that takes it a step further than that? That, you know, you're tacking back to the original recreation idea through, you know, a series of, I think, collateral arguments, right? Saying that, well, it's close enough. I just want to make sure that there is a proactive conversation rather than a reactive one.
Sure.
Because at some point, somebody here will say, you know what, I've had it, I won't vote for this budget. And that's bad for everybody.
Sure, it sure is, yes.
So, you know, whether it's a modified strategic plan or a roadmap in terms of things that don't relate to, you know, just pure recreation, I think the sooner you can have that conversation, the better. I leave that with my colleague who is the liaison to the board to push that.
And
I
I would,
realize it's not going to be solved tonight, but I don't feel like I'm getting a clear answer to my question.
Right. I'll work with the RARA board to help make sure that question that you raised is further discussed in our regular meetings. Because it's important to make sure that's something
well,
that we
and
discuss.
I want to follow up. I think because you have become so big and you're now own buildings and you own properties and you have assets, and this is just a recommendation, you know, following up what Councilmember Cuthbertson said, it would be in your best interest to have a strategic plan, some kind of a meeting where the board comes together and kind of goes through a 5-year, a 10-year, a 15-year to kind of keep things tight, because I think the tighter you are, the better organized you are, the easier it is for councils to come to a budget agreement and say, hey, this makes sense, they're following these guidelines, this is what they're meant to do, this follows their mission statement. You see where I'm going, you take it a step further out. To me, now that you own assets and you're a bigger organization, it would be in your best interest to have some kind of strategic plan.
Totally makes
You
sense.
don't have to go out and get $1 million person to come in and do it for you. There's a lot of organizations out there. I'm sure there's some, you know, some grant dollars that, or some way you can get to do that, but I think it really is in your best interest.
Very good point.
Yeah. Mayor Pro Tem.
Well, and basically my colleagues are saying the same thing. And Ron, I know I've said this when I served on the board, and now, you know, Ann's doing a great job serving on the RARA board and is such a advocate for you. But there's great ideas and a mission idea. And remember how many times I pointed to the wall and said, okay, is this on mission?
Yes, you have.
Okay. And so this is and I know that you think this is on mission, and maybe it is. You know, I don't think it is, but, you know, I'm not serving on that board, but I'm a very big advocate of RARA because they're affordable. It's affordable recreation for our whole community, for our kids. And I think it's a really important spot in our community. And so I am a big fan. However, I love that you're progressive. I love that. But are we going outside of scope? So I'm not going to mess up the budget either, because you have a wiggle room in case this doesn't work out with Planning Commission and all that. But really, I would just ask that the board really think about what that is, because your core mission, if I remember, there's recreation as a key word in that core mission. And so it's a great idea, but is it on mission? And that's what my question would be.
Okay.
So at this point, I would move to approve the RARA 2018 budget.
Support.
Support by Councilmember, motion by the Mayor Pro Tem, support by Councilmember Peterson. Do I have any other discussion on this item?
Just, Madam Mayor, I'd
Yes,
just like to make one comment. I would like everyone to know that Plant Moran is the one who did our audit, and we got a shining review for that. So, I mean, kudos to the work of him and City of Rochester Hills Chief Financial Officer.
Thank you. None being heard, Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Belden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Council.
Next, we have public hearings. Public hearing regarding a liquor license application to transfer a Class C license to Recipes Restaurant, 134 West University. Mr. City Attorney, do you want to open, Mr. City Manager?
Sure, I'd be happy to
Thank you.
touch on this one. So council had requested for this item for us to include a copy of the agreement, the menu, and there was some concern expressed about the Troy location. Our chief of police actually wrote a nice memo kind of outlining those things and then supported it right behind it. So attached you see the agreement between River Square Universities and Recipes, YOLO, as well as their attached menu. And then they answered saying that they do not plan to close their location. I think I see somebody here in the audience, so I don't know if you...
So I will go ahead and open the public hearing. Come one, come all. Do we have anybody that would like to comment on this item for the public hearing? Hi.
This is Josh Demsky, and my partner, Trung Nguyen, will be opening Recipes. And yes, we do not plan on closing Troy. We will be doing some remodeling in the near future, but that rumor is false. So
Okay.
we look forward to joining the community. We're very excited. We're hopefully 3 to 4 weeks away of opening the doors, and
Great.
we can't wait. So
Great. Thank you.
thank you.
Madam Clerk, any correspondence?
No, Your Honor.
And we'll go ahead and close the public hearing. Council?
Well, Madam Mayor?
Yes.
I would like to make a motion to approve as presented. I think they'll be a great asset to the community. They offer a great menu, and their restaurant in Troy has been there for many years, and I think the public here will enjoy having another restaurant.
Great. So I have a motion by Councilmember Peterson. Do I have support? By Councilmember Ray. Thank you. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Yeah, I was just going to offer perhaps a friendly amendment to the motion, subject to the confirmation of a written plan of operation with the city as approved by the city attorney is traditionally one of the conditions for approval that we've undertaken. So I just want to make sure if that wasn't intended in the motion that perhaps my colleague would add it and then maybe recognize the city attorney or administration to fill in the blanks I'm sure I've missed.
No, and Madam Mayor, that's fine. I just, as presented, I thought that was part of
Okay,
that.
so Mr. City Attorney, can you follow up on that?
Absolutely. In fact, that's what I was going to suggest is the operations agreement that we have with all liquor license holders.
Okay,
for
great.
Class Cs.
And the support?
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Any other comment on this item? Okay, Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Nixon?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Govanelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next, we have legislative deliberation. Item A, consideration of a zoning ordinance regarding a Downtown Edge 2 DE-2. This is second reading and adoption.
So moved.
By motion by Councilmember Cuthbertson, support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Do we have any discussion on this item?
Madam Mayor.
Yes.
Yes, I do. And I don't know, Nick is going to do his presentation regarding sustainability analysis, correct? Okay, so with that, I've done a lot of discussion and research on this here to know. I think that before moving forward, really approving all of these, I would like to have that discussion first so we can decide whether or not all this is going to make sense, so we're not approving ordinances that might not be in line with what comes out of the sustainability analysis. I mean, after all this time, and if with that as such, and we just finished the master plan and that, I just think that we'd be jumping the gun to continue approving these without knowing what the outcome is. It might affect, moving forward, some of the plans that that will come out of that. I might be wrong, but I know you've put a lot of work into all of that. I know the Planning Commission has, but I'm just seeing that it's coming at a time that makes it sound easy to continue approving these.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Sure. We could very easily get into a circular chicken and the egg discussion here. The master plan was updated, I believe, 3 years ago now. Ordinarily, this is the sort of thing that happens a bit quicker than this, but nevertheless, at least my estimation is that the existing zoning code is insufficient as written for where we want to be and what we need to do to implement the master plan. So, I'm entirely comfortable moving forward with implementation of the zoning districts and zoning maps that we've been working on. If indeed, in fact, I think the study that is underway has to do more with infrastructure and transportation impacts based on what people may bring to the table and what it can sustain. And if we find that something is grossly out of line, then obviously we'll make an adjustment. But I believe this, on the whole, is absolutely moving the community forward in a positive and measured way that reflects the master plan that's been on the table for a number of years. If we wait much longer in implementing zoning districts, we're going to be into the next master plan update as a matter of law before we're done with the zoning work that has to be accomplished here. And we've slowed down the process before, at my colleague's request, to try to give zoning districts adjacent to each other so that decisions could be made in that context. And I think that was helpful. But what I think maybe we have a misguided view of what Mr. Banda and the planning team are putting together isn't a replacement for the master plan, isn't a replacement for zoning, but a tool by which we can assess the impacts of any given development on the broader system. And so if we haven't defined the broad system with this zoning code as we intend it, having them, trying to apply analysis to an old zoning code that we know we don't want, I don't think it's going to make as much sense as putting this in, and if there's something that sticks out, that we come back and address it. So I appreciate the intent of the remark, but I think we're on good ground.
I would say both of you are 100% right. I think that's a very good thought process, and I agree that if the analysis of the economic impact analysis comes back with something saying, hey, we know we don't want any more density in mixed use, when we can amend that district just like we're doing now. The key was these aren't any massive changes to the district. Yeah, the names are new, but we really took out things that we know we didn't want, and it was to be more conservative. So it didn't open the door for bigger and better things. It actually kind of closed the door a little bit on some things. But we certainly will have the opportunity to adjust exactly what you said, Councilwoman Peterson, that if in fact it identifies some indicator that if you by right allowed a certain height or density, it's going to have an impact you don't want. We know that's not going to happen because all those things are special exceptions or special projects. When the peak is, they have to come back to you anyway. So I think we have a good safety built in, but points well taken.
Mayor Pro Tem.
The only question I had, and those are both very good points, because I really think that what you're presenting is as a tool, and I'm hoping that if we need to make those adjustments, just like we're driving, we can, make those tweaks. But when we do, and I forgot to ask this on each one of them that I usually ask, is how much is out of compliance? So when we put this new zoning district in, what is the non-compliance looking like?
I mean, it's not through the chair, a quantifiable figure because we haven't really taken anything big out. So I'm going to say less than 2%. I mean, it's literally, that was one of the goals of the Planning Commission. Don't do that to yourself where everybody's not conforming.
Okay.
So
I like that
there might be a
answer.
couple, but yeah.
I like
we
that
heard you
answer.
before, and we made sure that we made those
We talked
adjustments.
about that. I remember specifically when we talked
absolutely.
about Walnut Street. That was some of the
We
concerns.
actually changed the
We
districts,
changed
yeah.
it so we wouldn't make so many. So.
Okay.
So
Non-conforming.
if no other discussion on this item, Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalton.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Dixon.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Jovenelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Next is consideration of a zoning ordinance regarding mixed use 2, MU2, second reading and adoption. Do I have a motion?
Motion to
Move forward. Councilmember Peterson, do I have a support?
Support.
Support by the Mayor Pro Tem. Any other discussion on this one?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
just one, in light of the public's comment this afternoon regarding the DDA dollars and all of that, that is still part of all discussions.
Absolutely.
On any of these mixed use.
It is, and the impact of who's in what district, that's the economic analysis that will come out when we talk about on the big study,
Okay.
big analysis.
Did you have a comment, Mayor Pro Tem?
It's the same complex, and I'm assuming, Nick, that you were talking that a lot of this is not a big non-compliance either, because we're talking mixed use, so it doesn't.
Every district has exactly the same minimal, if any,
Okay.
non-compliance.
All right, very good,
Okay.
thank you.
Oh,
All right,
and
yes.
I'm sorry, one more. Can we just make sure that the same word, verbiage from last meeting is put in the place of all those other spots? Because I saw that
Yes,
they
she-
don't have those as well.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think they're black lined out in the, they should be in there, that
I didn't-
you asked for some changes.
Yeah,
Right.
Council,
Lydia
and we-
did.
And we did those.
That was on the other
Yeah.
one? Okay.
Any other discussion? Comments? Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Jovenelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next is consideration of a request to schedule a public hearing regarding a zoning ordinance regarding a transition district. This is just to schedule the public
It
hearing.
is, so this is the next two outlying districts, the next item, C and D is for DE1. So again, video will come, make a presentation, all the maps, tell you exactly what changes, if any, and we'll have a chance to take your input, and then at the second meeting, we would change that just like the same as this case.
And we also discussed she's going to have a master map
Yep,
that
it shows
says
all of them where they're at.
what has been done and what's left to
Exactly,
do.
correct.
Okay.
There's only 3 or 4
So-
more to go.
Yes. Councilmember Jovenelli.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. When did we want to do this?
So this is actually to schedule the public hearing for
10:23.
10:23.
I'd like to make a motion to schedule the public hearing for October 23rd for this particular.
Support.
Support. Any discussion on this item? Madam Clerk, the
Just
oh, I'm
one,
sorry,
Madam Mayor.
yes.
That's fine. So we'll have an opportunity to discuss and question later.
She'll bring
Okay.
it forward
This
with
one.
all the language
I have
and
a lot with that one.
And I will add, Vidya actually will be able to be there. She
Okay.
had a conflict, so that's
Okay,
why
good.
she's not here tonight.
Yep. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Jovenelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next is consideration of a request to schedule a public hearing regarding a zoning ordinance regarding a downtown edge district DE-1 for 1023. Councilmember Jovenelli.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I sniff a double twofer on the 23rd of October, so I'd like to make a motion to schedule the public hearing on October
Support.
23rd.
Support by Councilmember Peterson. No discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Jovenelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Next is consideration of a request to schedule a public hearing for conditional rezoning of 929 West University Drive from O2 restricted office to O1 limited office designation. So this is scheduling the public hearing. Yes.
If I
Mr.
may,
Banda.
just so we don't think that
Right.
you heard twice, or we did 919
Right.
at the last
Yes.
council meeting, and these were both going a month apart at Planning Commission. Independent requests, as you can see, Blaine put up the map. This is for what we would call the Crittenton Financial Building. The doctor and his wife Rena have purchased that property. They came in looking to relocate his dentist clinic from across the street into the building they just purchased. Again, not allowed in O2 like we found out on the previous at 919. And then they're, again, conditionally asking the Planning Commission and got approval from the Planning Commission to voluntarily put restrictions on that property to just have their clinic and have the balance of the building be restricted to office uses as in O1. They have the parking met, again, so they're not asking for waivers or anything different. So this would schedule the public hearing to have that input. We've been talking with the neighbors, and we will notify the neighbors for the 23rd of October, again, so that people could come in and talk about it. Because I know there was some consternation of council about, are we just throwing away the district? And They both happen to be next to each other, but they're some of the only 202 districts in town.
So, and my only request to this is, at the coffee with the mayor, there was a gentleman that represented the condos there.
We'll get with
So
him.
make sure those questions are all addressed before the
ma'am.
public hearing, that way.
Yep.
Because I remember he mentioned that to us. Councilmember Joe, Oh.
Yeah, Ron's.
yeah, I met with another, yeah, exactly. So I just want to make sure that everyone's on the same page. Thank you. Councilmember Giovanelli.
So the intention, because video would be here for this one as well, so we'll do all three.
Three
So
in
it's
the
a
same
three
day.
first. So October 23rd. My only question was with respect to timing. It's since the number's already been tossed out, the 23rd. I get the sense there's no issue with timing to bring it before council earlier. So the 23rd is fine.
That's all we can do because we need these.
All the
3 days.
timing. Yeah, got it.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
so I'll make a
have-
motion to go ahead and put that along with the other two items.
I'll
Right.
support that.
Thank you. Any other discussion? Madam Clerk, the roll.
Dalden?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Giovanelli?
Yes.
Sorry.
Peterson?
Yes.
Soft yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we move to reports and regular business. Report and presentation regarding the Rochester pedal bike. Mr. City Manager.
We've invited representatives from the pedal bike to be here, and I'm setting up their presentation now for.
Thank you. All right, so, all right, you don't need that. Oh, Councilmember Cuthbertson, do you need some water?
I have an
have
extra.
some.
Oh, okay.
Well, hello, everybody. Before we start, I'd like, on behalf of Rochester Pedal Ride, to thank everybody for their time today. Specifically, thank the mayor and the council for inviting us here to present our new business. We're going to begin. Interrupt us if you guys have any questions.
Could you
If
introduce
could,
yourself?
I was going to
Yeah.
say,
Oh,
could
yep,
you
I'm
give
gonna
your
do it.
name and.
I'm going to do it right now.
Okay.
Yeah. So first, I'm going to actually introduce Brian. This is Brian, and that's his wife, Jamie Lindstrom. They're owners of the Pedal Ride, co-owners with us. Jamie is a 4th grade teacher at Schroeder and Troy. Brian, he teaches AP Economics, Student Council, U.S. History, at Rochester Adams. He's a district secondary social studies curriculum coordinator. He also owns his own business as a travel volleyball owner of Legacy Volleyball. He lives in Rochester, and his kids, those cute boys up there, they attend Rochester schools and play multiple Rochester sports. Yes, okay. And this is me and my husband, Adam. I'm an ER physician, and my husband owns a Crunch Fitness. He is not here today because he's opening his first one right now. We live in Rochester Hills, and it says children. I only have one child at this moment, and hopefully she'll be lucky enough one day to attend schools in Rochester. Talk a little bit how we know each other. Jamie and Brian moved actually into my backyard a year after we moved into Rochester. And very quickly we became friends until we basically call ourselves family. We've been on some pedal rides together in other cities, and we decided this would be a great opportunity to bring to Rochester to show our cute downtown, show our great establishments, and promote our own city. So who are we? So here's our driver. This is a little bit more about the bike. So as you can see, our drivers, most of them have affiliation with Rochester themselves. So they make a great team. And not one of these drivers we don't know. These are all family and very close friends. So we are in close contact with them. They love us and support our business. So Tim and Dave and Ryan, Blaze and Dana and Eric are all part of the driving team. This is our bike. It's purchased in 2016 from a company called Pedal Biz out of Minneapolis. It's a combination of the car, marine, and bicycle parts. Pedal history, these are just the cities that have this same kind of industry in Michigan. I'm sure you guys kind of heard of the Detroit one. That's a well-known one. Places we visited, you guys can read them, Penny Black, to Holy Cannoli, to Light Pumas. We've met with the Chapman House. All that good stuff, yeah. And I'm going to let Brian talk about the routes.
Thank you again for having us. So real quick, in going over the routes and kind of how this all started as we got going. As we sat down with Mr. Banda several occasions, Police Chief Schuttenhelm, we went through routes and over again and talking about planning purposes and what this is going to look like and where are we going to unload and how is this going to work. We understand it's only 3 square miles. And I actually put the miles on here as we go through because we go close to about 4.5. as we're pedaling through this. So just to kind of take you through the routes, and we obviously heard last meeting some of the issues and complaints, and I know that some of you live along the routes and everything else. And just to be straightforward with this, every time we've had some conversation about what the routes look like, where we're going with this, and how it happens, and every time there's been some question brought to the police, we responded fairly quickly. And so the first thing was, staying off of University as we go through this and making sure that we're in the alleys. So the first route we pick up at Mr. B's, which was also a change of location. We had started off at Mr. B's at this parking spot right here. We made a switch over to Turalu for picking up and loading and unloading, and for complaints by the apartments that were over there, we decided to move back to Mr. B's because they actually have 2 parking spots, one of them that they reserved for us. So when we load and unload is one of the questions that were brought up. This parking spot right here is where we now pick up and unload. So starting at Mr. B's, traveling down the back alley, cutting over by 2nd Street and down underneath the bridge and around, and really we give our riders options. So when we have this list of stuff over here, when they get to us, they kind of say, hey, what are you guys interested in? I would say about a quarter of our rides don't even go to any of the restaurants. They're into going to Sanders for ice cream. They bring snacks on the bike. We have an option for not just going to the bars and restaurants as we go through this. So really it kind of breaks off. So as we go through this route, we'd break off into Rochester Mills, or we'd go to Royal Park over here. The second 2 routes, as we wind and coming back, so one of the conversations coming up, as we go through this and you take a look at it, we really are only on the blocks, 2 consecutive blocks at a time. And part of the conversation was, backing up traffic, and I understand that's a concern. We heard that at the last meeting. And from my experience being on it and the drivers we've had at most, and as we're asking them, we're talking about 4 cars. They haven't noticed or seen anything more than that, and we have not had any complaints from the police about that. And so even on Main Street over here on our last ride, when we finally go down the tour for Main Street, when you make this left-hand turn at 4th Street right here, all the cutoff, all the traffic going southbound, as we travel southbound, is actually cut off right here at Rochester Road. So by the time we actually, the traffic gets moving, we're almost to 3rd Street. So we're literally on it for 1 block before we turn right to get off here. And so as this stuff, again, comes forward and we understand, I think I counted about 14 houses, not including the apartment buildings, that we actually drive by on this side, on the west side of Rochester Road. So even talking with them about staying off of Pine Street and having those conversations, we've been totally open to. If we need to stay off of Pine Street, we were told to not be on University, so we really tried to make this loop over here, and we can make adjustments in getting this, and coming over to this north loop over here to show off the park, the police station, as we go forward. So that's been some of the comments that we've had, and how we've responded as we go through this. And really, as we start looking at this, one of the great things about our drivers, because they are from this area, what's been so awesome is that they are able to point things out. And I was even talking with Mr. Bandy. He actually heard one of our drivers explaining the sundial over here. And so because they're all from this area, they go through, I can't tell you how many people we've introduced Great Harvest Bread Company to, because we go down the back alley, and that's really their main entrance where you can see them from. So just little things like that as we go driving through, and the stuff that they point out, and they talk about the city and the restaurant recommendations, and introducing people to places like the Chapman House, which are new. And if you're a person driving by, you don't necessarily know exactly what it is, and talking about their menu and their farm to fresh stuff. So we've got to learn all these businesses and the history behind it, and as we go through and point these things out as we're taking a ride through Rochester. All right, so who rides? It's been amazing to see the number of groups and the different people who've come to downtown Rochester to celebrate as a group outing. This was so far our record right now for birthday parties. I have another picture that was an 89-year-old birthday party, so she beat them by 1 year. It was awesome. They came and built a little step to get up onto the bike as they go through and hung it out. But just as a list as you go through from birthday parties to book club outings to reunions, wedding anniversaries, Mom's Night Out, neighborhood associations has been a really big one of people in different neighborhoods coming to hang out in downtown, going all the way through to the school teacher outings in the summer. Shopping, we've had shopping rides. People have come on there and just asked to go to different places to go shopping as they ride through it, and dessert and coffee rides. We threw some pictures up on here as we go through corporate outings. This is Pure Bar. They've actually have done it twice. Over on this side, this was actually a 50th wedding anniversary that these people were on the bike for. On the right-hand side, and I'll just kind of flip through as we go some of the pictures that we've had. I think we challenged these guys to a race, and they said we'll just take a picture with you. So. And that was the 89-year-old birthday party.
We also almost had Rod Stewart on the bike.
Yeah, we had some band members. We were hoping, put our fingers crossed on that one. And that's been one of the neat things in working with Royal Park. They actually call us up when they have groups coming in for the group outings. Instead of sending them elsewhere and sending them off, they will actually give us a call and say, hey, we have this group in town. They're staying for a few nights. They're looking for something interesting to do. And that's how Rod Stewart's band got brought up and said, hey, we have these people here. What can they do on this night? They give us a call and say, are you guys open? And we work on booking with them. Same thing with wedding parties as well. When the people are there in between from being at the venue to making that transition over, and they're looking for time to kill, they've run it as well. And so one of our pitches when we started working with Nick was that really our business is to bring business to Rochester. When we talk about people coming in and going to the restaurants and retail stores, and what we did in the packets that we handed out is there's a packet, and we got some of the restaurants to write letters. We've had some of the residents of Rochester that I know are actually residents here to write letters as well. We put the reviews in there just so you kind of see that as we go through this, and we're trying to really bring this business to this. Not to mention the people coming back to experience downtown. As we start to track these people, it's, hey, I was on this before. I brought another group of friends coming back to downtown, and hey, we checked out this restaurant, and we wanted to eat here. We didn't go there last time. And so what I put up here was just from last week when we talk about unique page views from the week. This was our last week right here. Of people checking our website out. Not only are they checking out us, they're also checking out Rochester. It's a picture of downtown. It's here's the places, here's the people. These are the things that you can do and see as we go through this. Since May 31st, we've had 157 rides to date. We have 27 more booked through this season, ending in November. We put our ride times up here as we go through Monday through Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, and kind of a general idea of what our season is, weather permitting. So it's been a lot more than we expected. And honestly, we were shooting for about 90 rides and thinking that, this is going to be something that we see, on weekends. And Thursday's been big, Sunday's been big, that we've started to get these bookings in these rides. Who we've donated to. This has been super. We've had a ton of requests for people to give us, to give up a tour for donations. And just in the short time that we started, this is the groups. These are the groups that we've donated rides to for fundraisers. So you would go through like Meadowbrook, the Wild Game Dinner. They get to auction off a pedal ride. So again, we live here. We're in the city. Our drivers are a part of the city. We all have jobs. We do this as something that we thought was super fun. And we saw this happening at different cities around the state of Michigan. Did research on it and planning and everything else, and took a risk bringing it here because we honestly didn't know how it was going to go. But it's been super successful. We want to keep it short because I'm sure we have lots of questions.
So what I'll do is, traditionally what we do is we ask if there's any comments from anybody or questions in the audience first before we have council. Did anybody have a question or a comment they wanted to make on this item? Now would be the time to do it. Yes.
Douglas, 1228 North Main Street. There are people who have complained about the routes, and maybe they could be done better. I was just looking it up, and Traverse City does have an ordinance, I know, that covers this and regulates it. So you might want to take a look at that. I was going to send it over to you, Mr. Cuthbertson, because your email popped up here. But we really don't have an ordinance, do we, on these? So maybe we should.
Okay,
That's
thank you.
my only comment. Thank you.
Any other comment or question? None being heard, I will go to council. Council. Yes, Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. Appreciate the update. Would have loved to review this in a little more detail before tonight, even. I will tell you, as someone who is newly residing in the core of the downtown area, that and with an ability to observe loading and unloading and on a fairly regular basis, and it looks like people really do have a lot of fun, and that bit's not lost on me. I think how you interact with residential areas, however, is the key point to focus on. I can tell you from my experience, people getting on are usually a lot quieter than the people getting off. So that's just an observation, and the idea that you're going to do that at up by B-Bar with parking there, and it's kind of in a more isolated commercial area, I think is wise. But there was I made a joke with the police chief on an email once. One night, the pedal bike went down the alley. I live near the West Alley. Went down the West Alley late at night down the hill to First Street, yelling bombs away. And I thought, well, would it be okay if I threw water balloons? Authentic experience, right? But in all candor, my kids were sleeping. Their window was open, and so, I don't want to personalize this discussion. That's not what I'm here to talk about. But more broadly for people who reside along the route, that this is something you need to be cognizant of. And I candidly would prefer not to have an ordinance, right? That to me is a last resort, that we have to dictate how this works. And so, I don't know that I have a perfect plan to offer you, other than to say, if you can stay away from residential areas, particularly at night, where you load and unload, that it doesn't block traffic. Those to me seem like pretty straightforward ways to interact, probably a bit better with the rest of the downtown area.
So I would just kind of follow up on that. I live on the route, and it's one of those where when it first happened, my husband's like, "Dad, that's so cool, look, I'm out there." I said, well, they better not be out at night, because when I want to. So I think you've done a good job. What I've noticed on Pine Street is earlier in the day you go by, and then after a certain time, 6 or 7, I see you taking a different route. And to me, that's mindful of the residents that live there. So I don't know if you did it intentionally, but if you did, I think.
Never going to see that thing again.
Yeah, you're going to go by the mayor's house, wave to her. But no, I think, and to Councilmember Cuthbertson's point, because you do that little area that is residential, and during the day it makes perfect sense to me. It doesn't bother. I've talked to the neighbors. I asked them. I knew this was coming up, and during the day, all of them said, they're out doing their thing. Everyone's having a good time. They don't have a problem. It's just late at not late at night, but during the evening, I think those of us that live in town, we do have a certain amount of noise because we live in town. It goes with the territory. So it wouldn't be honest if I didn't say there's noise. You live in town. That's part of the deal. But there also comes a time where we kind of want our little quiet time too. So, but I think you've done a good job, and I agree. Going down the legislative route always gets really dicey, and I think you've been mindful. Coming here tonight is another good example of, you took it seriously when we wanted you to come in and go over everything.
Yeah, I think the very first weekend we started, Mr. Banda heard us, and we were in there the next day. And being a teacher, I use the analogy of getting called in the principal's office,
Yes.
and we sat down and had that conversation. And we're really trying hard. I mean, if this means that as we go through the routes of not going down Pine Street, because this seems to be the spot right here, as we're going through, it's kind of mixed residential with a few businesses in there of staying off of that. Under the recommendation of the police, staying off University for the stretch right here, especially at the blinking red lights and everything, we do to get over to this side to show them this area of the park and to get over to Paint Creek Tavern. do like going down Pine Street right here to cross over, so we're not getting on University and staying away.
That's-
So
yeah.
we've really tried to map that out, and you know, every consideration that we get of staying off of Pine Street, to do our best to just cut back down Walnut and go over there, is something that we're looking at for sure.
No, go after me.
I'll go ahead. Did you have something?
No,
you
go
could
ahead.
tell? So I'm going to go Councilmember Ray, Councilmember Bixon, Councilmember Peterson, and Mayor Pro Tem. So Ray, you're next.
Thank you. Thank you for preparing all this and coming forward. That's certainly a good sign. And my suspicion is that in your tours around town, there may be points where you have to take Pine for observing other traffic implications that you have to do. Just one thing that stood out to me from the comments that were made at the previous council meeting, and something that I saw in one of the pictures of the pedal bike is the correct vernacular. Okay, was a car speaker mounted in the top. You know, in those times where you have to go, if there's a stealth mode, or a just let's just everybody hold your breath, and then, we'll sneak by and then turn it back on. My suspicion is that it's one or two occurrences that that's the thing, and then every other time there's never been a problem, and then it's just what sticks out in people's minds. So, for what it's worth.
Councilmember Bixon, I'll go ahead.
Yes, as some people know, I spend a lot of time in the park and playing tennis in the summer, and you talk about that as a positive of coming there. I kind of view it as a negative. You have families, you have people playing tennis, you have people walking the park, and you have this, in my view of, a frat sorority bus coming by screaming party with their liquor, hey, everybody. That's my experience on it, and that didn't really seem appropriate to me in that setting. So, if you go by the bar areas and stuff, I think that's fine, but, you get to the residential, you get into the park, I'm less of a fan of it. So I just want to put that out there.
And maybe you read, I work in business, and maybe you read your client. You have the 80-year-old party on board. You could probably go by the park in reasonable fashion.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you kind of learn to read who you're servicing and who the people are sitting on there. A bachelorette party wouldn't be going by the park.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, that's what when you have a business, you start to learn those kind of things when you have so I think.
Yeah, we're definitely new. We respect Rochester. This is our city, too. We love it. We respect the residents. I get it. I wouldn't want to be woken up when I have a kid now. If you wake my sleeping baby, I would be so mad. So we get it. So we're learning, but we are so adaptable. I mean, you can ask the police. So as soon as they email us, 100 of us email them back. Like, we're on it. And that's a great thing about our drivers. We know them so well. We know exactly where they are. They log their routes. They text us if there's any problems, and we are out there all the time. Brian is out there nonstop. So we don't want any of this. We want to know. So, so we may have to work out some adjustments, but we're learning too, so we're happy to hear your comments, and we thank you for that.
Yeah, and sorry, I just want to add, we also know that we're a target as well, because it's a new thing. And, there's been times where we get a call from, hey, police, hey, we heard a loud noise, down around here, and I go driving over there, and I see some of the guys working on their cars in the garage over there. And I'm like, we have a log that says, hey, we weren't here in this time period, but we're going to make sure that this happens. So we understand that we're also a target as well, and so making this adjustment and what we need to do is definitely noted.
Yeah, we haven't had any issues on the bike from the police with drunken disorderly or anything like that, and we have trained our drivers and talked about it, that's unacceptable on the bike. Do they get loud and yell? Yes, I cannot not agree with that. And sometimes it's actually the bars that we go by, the restaurants sitting outside, that get excited to see us. I don't know, it's kind of hard. We do have a stereo system that you saw that is correct. And at the beginning we were learning, and we realized that was really loud. So we kind of came up with a number that we agreed is like a lawnmower. And that number is specific to the sound, and we say when you go through this residential area, it has to be on number 11, and so that has to be number 11. So we're trying to do the best that we can, and we're happy and open to suggestions. Maybe even like moving some times, things like that to make things earlier. We're definitely open. We're learning as we go.
Great. Councilmember Peterson.
Well, a couple things I just wanted to tell you. I appreciate your mindfulness with all of that. I think it's a great thing to bring here. What I really like, I'm in real estate, so I really think that it's awesome that you have people there that are sharing all our great secrets and assets that we have here that most people don't know from going down the side streets. So I think that's really great. I'm sure it'll all get worked out, and maybe we'll have a whole bunch, and that could be our new mode of transportation.
Mayor Pro Tem.
I think council should go on one of your rides.
You're more than welcome.
And I like your shoes. So it's mixed, but most of it is really positive because people like to do something. They like to be entertained. They like something cool and fun. And what I like about, after we had our say at the last city council meeting, you guys came here proactive. You introduced yourself. You're in really good communication with our police department. Training is critical, and so I think that you guys are really on top of that. And if there's anything else that the chief can help us out with, I think you pretty much heard. It's really the residential piece of it, but I think the excitement and what you're bringing, and maybe even doing like historical tour, something that's more mild and quiet, and doing some of the historic homes, that would be kind of a cool thing that maybe could be an offering too. But I really do appreciate you coming here because I think it's definitely given me a different light, and I hope it gives the citizens that, maybe
See who we are.
yes, to see who you are. So thank you.
And I do think it's important that the people see who you are and that your passion is you're willing to work. And I think that's a really important for council when we ask someone to come, that they're prepared, they explain what's going on. And to the Mayor Pro Tem's point, you're going to have people that love it. You're going to have people that hate it.
We knew that, yes.
We're used to that. But I think.
Welcome to our world.
But I personally appreciate the fact that you've made this effort and you're willing to listen. And to me, that speaks volumes. So Councilmember Cuthbertson and then Councilmember Giovanelli.
Mr. Giovanni, you've
Joe, go
spoken.
first.
Go ahead.
Oh, I just so from my perspective, I don't live in town, so I don't have to listen. I'm kidding. No, it's all good. So I was thinking maybe Rod Wilson could take a shift as the driver and do the historic. Yeah, so he's the historic. So that's great. No, from my perspective, I appreciate you guys going in above and beyond and doing this. This shows that you are, you do care, and I appreciate that. One thing that we have learned on council here is no good deed never goes unpunished.
Yes.
So no matter what happens, you're never going to make everybody happy. But from my perspective, I appreciate the effort, time, energy, effort, and life force that's gone into coming here and sticking up for yourself and showing that you guys get it. I look at the marketing and the promotion of the downtown area being done by your drivers as being a key economic driver. And I think if Christy was still here, and I'm sure Nick would say the same thing, given the downside and everything else, the upside is well worth it. So I appreciate it. I just don't think I'd ever want to work that hard, pedaling around when you can drive. I mean, why bother? But whatever. It sounds like fun. I'll try it sometime.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
So I think it would be helpful for you to think about preparing a summary of what it is that you are going to do differently, right? What observations you've made, and present that to the police chief. And maybe he can send that on to us after you've had a chance to talk that through. I think we've dealt with some generalities, but I'd like to leave a record of some specifics about, look, these are the things that we think we need to do differently. That way, if there is an issue in the future, we can know what didn't work, right? And not have to go through some kind of, history rewind constantly to get to something that works. Someone did mention something about a bell. I don't know that I've ever heard it.
There is no bells. There is no whistles. There is no foghorns. There is nothing on that pedal bike of a bell. So
thank you for clarifying that.
You are very welcome. I'm happy to
Train
do
horn?
it.
I was hoping for a train horn.
I heard all those.
There's no trains.
West
There's nothing.
Lafayette. I'm done with those.
There is a stereo.
So yeah, if you could work with the chief and I'm sure he'll send that on to us in the near future. So I appreciate that.
Thank you so much for coming.
you.
You have a great evening.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will move to consideration of an appointment to the retiree seat on the OPED board. I would like to nominate Mr. David Zemmons to that. for next consideration at the next council
You're
meeting.
going to say yes to that?
That's it.
Well, I've been sitting on OPED, 2 years now? And we reached out to him.
That's awesome.
Yep.
Yeah.
It is awesome.
That's
I was
great.
thrilled because we don't have anybody in that
No,
spot.
but still, it's nice to
So,
see him back
We are
engaged. That's
very,
great.
very happy.
Super.
Next is consideration of appointment to the PSD Board, and I would like to nominate Mr. Kevin Stewart. And last is a consideration of appointment to the Historical Commission. Thank you, Councilmember Ray, for your hard effort. And I would like to nominate Lynn C. Anderson. All right, next we move to consideration of a request to make Pine and Drace a four-way stop. Mr. City Manager.
Yes, there's actually that item as well as, I was going to say, the Wilcox and 7th Street. Let me pull up, I gave away my keyboard and mouse.
Okay. Go ahead. This is kind of a lot of-
Countdown, right? All right, so let's see. This is,
And we have to.
here's the location for Pine and Drace, which is the first one.
All righty.
Basically, we've had some requests from residents. They've gone through the process. I think we have some here in the audience. We've had our transportation engineering staff, the consultants that we use, actually review that, and that information's in the packet. Again, the request right now is for a four-way stop. I talked with the police chief earlier this afternoon, and I believe at this location there have not been any accidents. Specifically here at this intersection, and there's also, as noted in the report, there's not the heavy traffic over the 2,000 listed. But again, it's been council's. This is the location for council to discuss requests from residents, and thus we have both of these this evening.
So what I'm first going to do is invite anybody who would like to come up and make a comment to do it now at this particular time. You can get in line and go one by one.
Good evening. My name is Christian Hauser, and I, along with my wife and son, live at 5157 7th Street. So the intersection I'm referring to this evening would be Wilcox and 7th. Over the summer, I spoke to Chief Schettenhelm, who indicated that in order to request a stop sign at that particular intersection for traffic that goes east and west, it was necessary for me first to go and procure signatures from all the residents in that vicinity. I did that. Those are all attached in the packet. I can represent to the members of this council, I received yes in favor signatures on every single person who lived along 7th Street as well as Wilcox. There were 0 objections to this particular request. I understand that the traffic study didn't necessarily warrant the additional stop signs for east and west traffic based on the volume of cars that go by there on a daily basis. But here's the issue, and I want to take away the context of it being a traffic control device versus more of a health and safety issue. I can represent to the members of this panel, the cars go flying down that street. And it's not noticed just by me, but rather everyone who lives on 7th and Wilcox. They come down Ludlow, make the left, so I guess they would be heading east, down 7th, and then hook that right along Madison. So they come all the way down. And what it does is it creates cars just zooming down our street. And the issue sometimes also is that there's confusion as to whether or not Wilcox and 7th is actually a four-way stop. And that, I think, is also important because cars will approach that intersection and be unsure as to whether or not there is a four-way stop, because I think it's a natural disposition to think that, yes, there would be a four-way intersection there as it pertains to stop signs. So I'm asking that the members of this council obviously look at the traffic report, but more importantly, look at what the residents along Wilcox and 7th Street have indicated they want on that intersection, which is, in fact, a four-way stop.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Amy DeBates, and I live at 608 7th Street. Just to add to what Christian was just saying, I'm one of the residents who lives along this particular intersection, and first of all, I appreciate the City Council taking a look at this particular matter. With regard to the traffic study that was conducted, I think some of the data for that may be slightly skewed because there was construction going on in Wilcox during that period, during those couple of days, and so there were many, many fewer cars going through the intersection during the traffic study than there are normally. In my own, I've lived there for a couple of years now, and I have a small child, and I frankly am terrified to let him go in the front yard, even just to go into our to our cars, because cars go consistently at about 35 or 40 miles an hour down a 25-mile-an-hour street. So there's definitely a need for traffic calming measures. It's a common cut through, as Christian mentioned, from Ludlow over to University, because people try to use the traffic light at Wilcox because there isn't one at Ludlow. People come down 7th because it's the only way to get through there to make a left-hand turn onto University from Ludlow. And they go through in extremely high speeds that are entirely inappropriate to a quiet residential neighborhood in a small area. And so it's very distressing for all the residents, which is why every single person who lives within a block of this intersection has signed off saying, yes, please consider making this a four-way stop sign. If it's not a four-way stop sign, I'd like the City Council to please consider other traffic calming measures, as well as additional enforcement in that intersection area, because it is dangerous for our children who live there. Thank you.
Thank you. Can I go ahead and wait till? Thank you, Council.
My name's Sherry Darnell. I live at 332 Drace, so if you want to switch to the
Sure. Oh, good. I was
the
waiting
other
for
one.
the other area to.
Okay. So there's only 2 blocks of Drace, the 100 block being right off Main Street and the 300 block being the one close to that Hallback Field. So I live on the 300 block on the north side. And you all have, I guess, everything that was submitted with the petitions, right? So everybody's petitions and the letter that was sent. So I distributed the letter. I believe there are about 40 houses total, roughly, on those 2 blocks. I distributed a letter to everyone on Drace, and I simply said, please check yes or no, return this petition to me. I did not knock on every door. I didn't follow up with the people who did not return their petition. To me, this seems like such an obvious thing, and immediately I got 23 yeses. 2 people indicated no, but 23 yeses that they walked and dropped it off at my house. Comments I wanted to make about the study, the traffic study. One of the counters that was on my part of Drace Street was, and I reported this to the chief, it's a pretty narrow street to drive down, and one of the counters was placed where there's a car parked. I literally left my house and drove around this thing on the road, thinking it looks like a hose or something, and it occurred to me shortly after, oh my goodness, that's the traffic study that they're going to do. But it was close to this car parked there. I don't know if you can picture what I mean, but there's, it sticks out about halfway. But when you're driving, and my son and my husband did the exact same thing. They drove right around it. So I don't know how many people on Drace drove around the counter that day. It might not have taken us to the 2,000 mark, but there might be a little bit more than was already there. So that was one point I wanted to make. And I also wanted to say that there's parking on, can I step over there and point?
I can actually give you a pointer.
Oh, I don't know if I'm any good with that, but. Okay, I can do that. Okay, so this corner right here, this house, and the woman was here earlier. I think she probably just, her time, she had to go home, but she was here at the meeting. I know she was going to speak. She lives right here, her and her husband. They have 3 kids. Yeah, right at this.
Maybe a little bit bigger for you.
Right here, right?
Yep.
Grace and Pine. Right here. They do not have a driveway or garage.
Right.
So their cars are very frequently parked right in front of their house. I actually brought a picture that I snapped, if anyone wants to see it. But they have, minivans or whatever. And even if they weren't parked there very frequently, it's open parking, so anyone could park there. The reason I mention that is it really obstructs the view when you're leaving Drace, heading out towards Main Street. the cars here cannot see the vehicles coming this way, and we can't see them. The reason that's a problem is because, like the other intersection, I believe that everyone assumes, or almost everyone, that it's a four-way stop. It just feels like a four-way stop. It just has that feeling. We moved there 1 year ago, and as soon as we started driving that street, I thought that I'm almost, a couple times a week having an issue with a car that I know is not seeing me and is not stopping. They might stop, but they don't. They take a quick look, but they assume there's a four-way stop, I believe, and they just aren't. They stop. There's nobody right there, and they're not looking for anyone approaching, thinking if there's someone approaching, they're going to be stopping because it's a four-way stop. I was in the car on Friday. I thought timing was so perfect. A friend of mine was dropping me back at my house, and she stopped there. She stopped at Pine, and I said, "Did you notice you just stopped?" She's like, "I always stop here." I go, "There's no stop sign." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, there's no stop sign?" So that's very, very, very common. There's also a tree. They commented on one tree on the one corner in the study, but on that corner where the cars are typically parked, they also have like a large bush, which also affects the visibility on that corner. So I've seen so many near misses, and the people on Drace, I feel we just kind of drive slowly, and you just protect yourself that way. But people who are visiting, would not necessarily do that. One of the residents on Drace, who's lived there for 20 years, she did submit an email to the police chief yesterday, and I don't know if that got included in your packet or not.
We can get a copy. It has not been included.
Yep, if you want to, yeah.
You want it? Or I can read it if you want. She was unable to attend in person.
Okay. Any other comments?
I think that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
We're from Oakland Township, and we just purchased a house, or the lot.
Could you, excuse me, could you give me your name and address, sir? Thank you so much.
Okay, Frank McFarland, 331 Drace.
Thank you.
Across the street from her. And yes, we go there, my wife and I go to the house, because we're in the process of having the house torn down, and there's all the kind of issues with that. But we go there every Saturday to cut the grass. And every time I go down Drace, I stop. Because I think is Pine being a cross street, type thing. So, yeah, it would be very helpful if we put a stop sign there.
Thank you.
Okay?
Thank you. Any other comments? Okay, so I will now go to council. Councilmember Cuthbertson first, and then did you have your hand up, Councilmember Peterson?
Yes, I did.
I will then go. How about if I go to Councilmember Peterson first, and
Yes,
then
please.
Councilmember
Okay.
Cuthbertson, and then Councilmember Wright.
Not a problem. Thank you all for coming in. I did drive by. I walk the town twice a day, so I know our street's pretty good. But I do know that all of these are one-way dead ends, as I kind of live in the same situation. Off of Main Street, they come and they dead end at the park, and that's the cross street is Pine there. So, I appreciate everyone coming in. I do think that they should have four ways. I know my own street should have a four-way. It's only a two-way, and people coming down a hill, and it's pretty scary. I just think it's very necessary, and I don't think that's going to hurt anything to have the four-way stops there.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
I would just say to the folks in the audience, I've been doing this for 12 years, and I can't recall seeing a traffic study from TIA or this organization that ever said to put one in. So don't worry. We've put plenty of stop signs in. I do think it's reasonable to imagine at many, if not all, but many neighborhood street intersections to imagine some kind of traffic control device in most, if not all, directions. To me, that's the presumption. I do think there's a couple of places where maybe we have too many. On Letica between the Krista, there's a 20-foot area, and then there's another stop sign, and so it's
Like meet the parents.
yeah. And so you're left with this, we have stretches of areas that don't have them, and then, we have this one where there's 3 stop signs. But I digress. A neighborhood comes and says, look, we in our judgment, we think the stop sign is necessary. I tend to agree unless, I hear from the police chief that, there's some, countervailing massive, safety issue to not think about it. So, I'm generally predisposed towards doing this. It's a stop sign.
Councilmember Ray.
Thank you. Is it council's pleasure? Are we going to take these separately?
Yeah, I will do them separately. So
Okay.
tell me which one you want to comment on.
The second one, or
Okay.
rather, I'm sorry, the second one in the packet, the first to present.
Yes. So Wilcox and 7th Street.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wilcox.
So I'll reserve my question for that one if we want to take votes
Absolutely. Go
separately.
ahead and go
Okay.
with that one.
So just okay.
So you.
I was going to reserve my comments for that if we wanted to vote on the first request, or were we just going to give?
I thought we'd give comment and then someone wants to make a motion. I would prefer the motions
Oh.
to be separate.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to go to the mayor pro tem real quick.
I'll make
Okay,
a
go
motion
ahead.
if somebody would like it to happen.
Yeah, I'll make the motion too.
Okay, so
Whatever. I'll speak. It's a bigger picture, and I totally understand in the neighborhoods we could have a stop sign at every intersection. The area of Drace and Pine, because people stop there, is because they're new. If you've lived there for 20 years, you know that north-south and east-west, you stop and you don't stop. And so it's a bigger picture when you're looking. It sounds easy, but it's not. It's more complicated. What I would like to hear is what other calming measures that we could do. Maybe make one side non-parking like we have in some other neighborhoods. What was the count, the car count? Was it like, was it close to 2,000? Maybe it's in the, I don't remember what the number is. I think the number's in there somewhere. But the thing is, like, if you do it at that street, then it's going to be very confusing because then we're not in the right, oh yeah, Pine and Dre. So then you have Albertson and Griggs. And so what does that look like for that neighborhood? I would like the chief to comment on that part of it. And then at goals and objectives, this was probably when Bill Bolin was here, so I don't know how many years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago, we had to, by law, to put all the reflective strips on all of the stop signs. And really, this looks like one stop sign, but when you multiply that over several hundred, maybe thousand, it becomes something. So, when I talked with the city manager this afternoon, I'm like, okay, what is the issue? Do we have any accidents? What's our data? Because I know that a lot of these are emotional driven, especially when you're new to the community versus, okay, what really is happening? I'm not saying I'm for it, I'm not saying I'm against it, but when we're sitting up here, it really has to be looking at the big vision of what that looks like for the whole community and for that section. So I would really like to hear from the police chief before we dive into, okay, yeah, just put whenever comes up, just put a sign up. I understand that, people want to protect their families, and that's important too.
So police chief, if you'd like to please come forward.
Sure.
Do you have any comments?
Sure. I certainly, as I said in the memo to City Council, I certainly understand the request, and if I was living there, I would probably be making the same request. Obviously, from a traffic engineering standpoint, the reservations of doing this is to not provide a false sense of security. Putting up stop signs when they're not warranted, you do have the risk of people more likely to run a stop sign that is not in a place that people anticipated. I know we've had some discussions of anticipating that people do it already because and that I guess helps us to feel better about putting a stop sign there, but that is a concern when the professional engineers tell us that it's probably not in a place that it's anticipated. So, those were the concerns. There is a concern, obviously, in, that these are additional signs that would need to be maintained and measured to make sure that they're meet standards going into the future. So those are the reservations of doing it. As I said, I certainly understand it. There is a feeling of safety that's provided by signage. I'm not here to diminish that in any way.
Councilmember Giovanelli.
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thanks everybody for coming tonight. My default position is if you ask for it, it has to be explained to you why we shouldn't do it, right? So I'm in general support of this as a general matter. The one thing, though, not on this one, but the other one, let's just talk about them all at once because I'm lazy.
Fine.
Okay.
Or Rob.
So this one is actually a little bit more, to me, they're both equally important, don't get me wrong, but from a cut-through standpoint, I know because people are trying to get through University and get around and go to Woodward, this one is pretty crazy. So I'm wondering, Chief, if it'd be worthwhile to entertain, in addition to that, traffic calming. I know in Birmingham, various streets are turned into one-ways at certain time frames to avoid people using the cut-through. So I don't know if we've given that
I'm
any
not
thought
familiar
or
with
not.
it
but-
from a time standpoint.
Yeah, so like you're going down Coolidge, and right before you get to Maple, there's those streets that are only...
Well, there's turn reservations.
Oh, that's what I'm talking
That's-
about,
yeah,
right, yeah.
yeah.
So no right turn at
Right.
between 4 and 6 p.m., so that way people can't cut through. So maybe there's additional things that we can do. I will say that is my cut through to get to City Hall to do my job here from Great Oaks, but I'm acutely aware of it, and I try and be pokey as heck. And plus, my truck's so big that people don't really see me coming anyway. But perhaps if, people trying to cut through Ludlow to get over to Woodward, like a no right turn, so I'd be curious to see that as an additional sort of
The
traffic.
challenge with those is that those adversely affect residents as well. So they're very, very hard to manage because the people that we want to get into the neighborhood then can't get into the neighborhood when we put in that type of
Yeah.
signage.
So how'd you guys deal with it in Birmingham?
The residents are affected by it.
Oh, really? Okay.
And
got it.
also there, it's a little bit different because you're using a much, much higher volume when you're talking about 2 lanes of Coolidge Highway.
Sure.
That's using that to get to Maple Road. So
Right.
it's a constant, parade of traffic in those situations rather than, I would admit I thought that the numbers would be a little bit higher, but I'm not surprised that they're as low as they are.
Got it. Well,
So,
so,
go to the-
I defer to you guys as the experts on that, but when it comes to the residents,
Yeah,
asking
and as I
for
said,
it, I think,
we're not here to not support the effort. It's just, we also want to understand, that it doesn't meet the merits and there's a reason why it doesn't.
Understood. Got it. Thank you.
Councilmember Ray.
Thank you, since we're talking about them both. I'll echo my Councilmember Giovanelli's comment in that if you've gone through this effort, you deserve your stop sign, so I'm in support of both of them. What I was going to comment on or leave the folks interested in the Wilcox and 7th Street intersection is that my suspicion in that between the comments of the fast traffic, right, and the sometimes slowing down to check at that intersection would be to caution and suggest that you remain vigilant in that at the point of the intersection you will likely see slow traffic, but I suspect that people are still going to be fast between stop signs, and that behavior may or may not change. But having young kids myself, I probably exceed what cars are really traveling on my street, but to me it just looks fast. And that you may still have that fast traffic, and to please report back to us if that is indeed the case.
It seems counterintuitive, but the traffic engineers are in the business of trying to remove stop signs for that very reason, because they are not really an effective traffic calming measure. And that it can, probably not in these cases because of the relatively short distances, but it can increase speeds because you have people that are driving faster to get to the next stop sign because they know they have to stop. So, that's what the
Councilmember
experts
Vixen.
tell us.
I might have messed up what I was just going to say. I don't know, but no, I'm familiar with both those streets. I mean, I think a stop sign is probably good there, and it's a potential traffic calming. But I agree with Councilmember Ray. It's a citywide problem. I mean, I live on a street that has four-way stop, and people speed. So I think it's worth a try, but I'm not sure it's going to solve the problem. I think it's worth a try, but I think because of the volume of traffic in our town now, you have people cutting through every which way, and I think it's a citywide problem. So, I mean, that's a bigger picture that we need to look at, and, that gets back to our economic development and all that with traffic. But I'm willing to support these two stop signs.
So I just want to follow up. I think it's great that they came. I have a couple concerns, and it's not at the neighbors that came because they're concerned. That we added a stop sign we added the four-way on ours. I got to tell you, traffic, they're a lot faster now with those stop signs. I can't believe the speed that people will try to get between two stop signs. I'm just amazed. So whereas I want to support it, but my other concern is this. We start having lots of people come. And so the first couple of neighborhoods that get in, it's that first in, they got their stop signs, we're good to go. And then the next neighbors hear about, they want a stop sign. And we just kind of continue this because we've always given people, the stop sign because it does make sense. And you don't want to tell somebody that you're not concerned about their safety. I have children that are not small anymore, but they were once small. I understand that. So to me, I do think you have to kind of look at the bigger picture on how many stop signs do we want, what neighborhoods could benefit from it, what neighborhoods could really benefit from an officer once in a while sitting there and handing out tickets. And not that I want to encourage it, but people start to talk in the neighborhood, well, I'm not cutting through there because usually there's somebody there. Or do we put up the sign, the lighted signs? Do we do other things that would help calm the traffic? And to Councilmember Bixon's point, this is a larger problem for the city as a whole because we do have so much more traffic. And people are looking for, with construction, and now that we're going to be doing more roads, you're going to have a lot more cut through. And those neighbors that never had cuts through are now going to be coming to see us, hey, because we're doing construction over here, over there. So it's not that I don't support this. I'm also trying to look at the bigger picture and how this can work. And my concern is that we start to do this and then we have stop signs everywhere. The greatest example is Elizabeth Street. I mean, it's probably worked for that neighborhood and they probably love it, but I don't know anybody who wants to drive down Elizabeth Street because it's going to take you 10 times longer than going through town to go that way. So I just want us to be cognizant of the other issues that we're talking about and not just grant these, even though I understand why we do it, but I also think we have to think about the consequences that go with that. So I think Councilmember Peterson and then the Mayor Pro Tem had a follow-up.
All right, and thank you very much for all of that information. But I think that what we're missing here is there's two, each one of these have a uniqueness that I think does warrant the stop signs. And the first one, back on Drace, and that is because that property, without having a garage and a driveway, their cars are parked to where you can't see. So I think that is necessary to have some stop signs at that one because it does obstruct the view. And then the other one, Wilcox and 7th, that one is because the incline coming off of University down on Wilcox, I mean, that to me just they're already going faster anyhow, and I think stop signs there would be very necessary because you also have coming around on Madison, if they come speeding around there too. I mean, you have it in all directions. I think those two have some real uniquenesses that we need to look at it.
Mayor Pro Tem.
This is so hard because I know that families want this. I'm just very concerned it's going to be a false sense of security, and I'm very concerned, especially on Drace and Albertson. Okay, if you don't have east-west on all of those streets, you're going to have it only on Drace, and so people are going to blow by that. And so the thing is, we're lay people up here. We have experienced officers, we have experienced engineers to tell us what is the safest, most logical way to protect our citizens in traffic. I would like to see a different traffic calming measure before we go and put a stop sign there, because I think it could, whenever we make decisions up here, we have a domino effect. There's a legacy of a good or bad. And so we're investing in a stop sign. It's not that big of an investment. I don't think it's going to solve the problem. So I would like to see more of a calming measure and not to have a false sense of security. We've never had an accident there, and now we have someone that's blowing by because they don't know that it's not a four-way stop. I'm not a big fan of just putting signs. I'm just not a big fan of it because I think it's it's dangerous.
I also think that we have to be willing to say no in the future, because my concern is if we always say yes because we always say yes, sometime in the future we're going to have to be willing to say this isn't a good idea. And is it based on because we just don't think it's a good idea, or is it based on the data because the data says something different and we're doing it because we have done it in the past and everybody's made a great case. You can't argue with the people that are coming up here. So and that goes back to my concern is you have to make a decision not just based on that, but based on these other factors. So I'm going to go to Councilmember Cuthbertson, and then we'll go ahead and.
Mayor, afterwards, if I could
Yep.
have a comment.
Yep.
I would simply submit that until council can articulate a policy about traffic control as a general matter, and the standards by which we are going to address those things with the police chief's input, that the answer is yes. That until we can say, look, we have a policy and a study and we have a systematic approach here that we can talk people through about the how and the why we're doing this, then I think the onus is on us to be able to say why no, and not have a debate about a policy issue we're grasping at while people are sitting in the audience asking us for a specific request. So I won't be around for that discussion, but I would encourage that, particularly coming out of these planning discussions that we're having, is we got to look at this more broadly. We have to look. Part of the reason we have so much traffic is development to the north of us, right? We've got a lot of people coming through this community. We are not the northern fringe anymore. And so understanding what all of that means and having a coherent way to talk to the public about that, beyond the fact that we have a great police force doing a good job on a day-to-day basis, what else does that mean? So, again, until we can do that, I'd say the tiebreaker is the resident that has said, that's gone through this process. So,
Okay,
thank you.
I do just want to note, and Chief, correct me if I'm wrong, with the stop signs, we're probably going to have to put the no parking because there needs to be a certain distance.
Right,
So
there's
that
30
could
feet
impact,
back from the stop sign is required when a stop sign is installed.
Okay, so I just want that to be on the record as well, that, that could have impact on some residents that they wouldn't be able to park directly up to the stop signs.
Does that have a direct impact on the Drace resident that doesn't have a garage? Are they 30 feet within that stop sign?
No.
I defer to the resident. Sure.
You have to come forward.
You have to come
For the mic,
Sorry.
please.
It actually will have an impact on them. They currently park their vehicles right at the intersection.
It won't be anymore.
It's funny, I actually looked at the stop sign that's on Pine, and there was no signage there about not park, because I wondered about that. I thought I don't want to affect them negatively. And there's no signage there, so I didn't realize that they would be affected. But they, like I said, she was here at the meeting, and they did sign the petition yes, and wrote some additional comments there. They did want it, but I don't know if they're aware of that. I also wanted, can I make one
I
more comment?
suspect you may get somebody to flip on that.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Ferndale and Pine also does have a four-way stop, similar streets. So just.
But that's on their side of the road, yeah.
Someone was saying that all those streets are that Ferndale and Pine
Mm-hmm.
does have a four-way currently.
But it's across from Woodward. It's not, I mean, that's one section of the neighborhood. Woodward is the defining kind of.
Yeah, it is
you know,
across, it is
yeah.
for across from Woodward, but
Yeah.
if you've driven there, it has a very similar look
Feel.
and size of the intersection and that sort of a thing. Also, I mean, it would be nice if everyone could see I am new, but the person who wrote the letter to the chief who couldn't be here tonight, she's lived there for 20 years. She's a few houses down from me. So it'd be nice if everyone could see her input.
We'll make sure it gets to Councilmember Ray.
For clarification, the 30 feet parking, that is in front of the stop sign on that side of the street?
Yes, from the stop
Okay,
sign
if
back,
I-
so that would be on, in this case, it would be on all four.
Right,
lanes
but-
of the intersection.
Oh, so it's because
If you put
the-
4 stop signs in,
Okay,
yeah, then it would move that parking back on all 4 legs.
on all 4 lanes.
Yeah, so
basically
there's
in front of the house.
Yeah.
8 areas that
Correct.
will move back 30 feet.
Thank you. Because
What was I saying about no good deed goes unpunished?
She was talking about this property here.
Mhm.
The stop sign's on this side of the street.
Right. It would
The
be-
front of this house still has to be clear.
It's the other.
It's the other way.
on the other side.
It's on, okay, thank you. Never mind.
All right, so we'll go ahead and do I have entertain, go ahead, I'm sorry, Mayor Pro Tem.
I mean, I think it would be very beneficial for the neighborhoods to really know we can table this and have them go back to make sure that every one of those citizens are aware that now they cannot park their car. I mean, I don't know about the 7th and Wilcox per se, but the Drace in Pine, it's definitely going to affect that neighbor. I mean,
We're gonna go ahead, I mean,
There's no issue on 7th and Wilcox, because there's no parking on that side.
yeah, you can't park on one
A
side.
different situation there.
Yeah, so I'm going to take these as separate. So I will have consideration of the one to make Pine and Drace a 4-way stop. Yes, Councilmember Ray.
I'm sorry, just for clarification, does this property owner, yes or no, understand that they're not going to be able to park in front of their house anymore?
They do not.
So do you want,
I would like to make a motion to table this
Alrighty.
specific agenda item until that can be
So I have a
articulated.
motion to table item E. Do I have support on the motion?
A motion to postpone.
Yeah,
Otherwise
do a motion to, yeah, or table. Yep.
Whatever, Rob Ray.
Okay, so, and do I have support?
Yes.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
I'd like to make a comment.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize.
No, that's okay. What if one neighbor has a problem with it? Are we going to have that trump the entire discussion for the block?
Yeah.
What's the point of this?
Right.
I mean, we're going to hear what they have to say, and I don't want to cut off the right for somebody to have a right to be heard. But, let's be honest with ourselves. Are we going to say no to this in 2 weeks?
They don't have a garage and
I have a question for the chief.
Yep, just go.
Chief, on Pine Street, for that person, if they're on that side and they don't have a garage and they don't have a driveway, where are they legally allowed to park?
Next door.
Yeah, they can park anywhere on the street.
Either side?
Yep.
They can obviously park anywhere on the street, it just would have to be 30 feet back from the stop sign.
Drace or Pine?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah,
So I will go, Councilmember Vixen.
Well, I have to agree with Councilmember Cuthbertson. I mean,
Yeah.
we talked about it round and round and round. Everybody knew this was on the agenda.
Yeah.
Let's vote.
Well, I
That's why
have a
these
motion
that's
on
why
the
these
floor right
meetings
now,
go
so.
so long, because we talk about this stuff round and round and round, and then we table it, and then we talk around and around again. Just my opinion.
There's a motion.
Well, there is a motion on the floor, so I do have to vote on the motion.
To
So the
table.
motion is to table it, so I'm going to take a roll call on the motion to table.
Belden,
Yes.
Russell,
yes.
Vixen.
No.
Cuthbertson,
No.
Jovinelli,
No.
Peterson,
No.
Ray.
Yes.
Okay,
Motion fails, Your Honor.
thank you. So now we will take the request E again, to make Pine and Drace a 4-way stop.
I'll make a motion to make Pine and Drace a 4-way stop.
Do I have
Support.
support by Councilmember Cuthbertson? I'm going to just say that I'm going to vote on these in favor based on the fact that we have a lack of policy. It would be my preference to have a policy moving forward that sets guidelines and goals and how do we deal with traffic studies. But Councilmember Cuthbertson made a very valid point that we don't have that. And without that, we just go along as we always have. Not that I am happy about that, but I think it's the fair way to do. But I do think we have to have a policy. So,
Madam Mayor?
Madam Clerk, yes, I'm going to call the roll.
No, that's okay. May I?
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, I just want to amend it then. I would like to amend it that if, look at it for a year and see if there's something and if it changes that, or does it need to have that amendment?
It's up to you.
Well, I would like them to, I would like to, if we had that amendment in there later on, then if it proves to be not beneficial for that community and and it seems to make things worse, then, we can always, redo that, but never mind.
You guys, this is consequences. I hope you understand that this neighbor is going to be significantly impacted, and they do not know. I bet you, and I'm not 100% sure, but they are definitely going to be severely impacted because they park on that corner every night after home. And so this is what I'm talking about, consequences. We really need to know what we're doing. And it's really unfortunate that we can't. Yes, we should be. If we're affecting the whole neighborhood, and they're very specifically being affected. Where are they going to park? 30 feet. They cannot park any longer in front of their home. So, I will not be voting for this and I thought it was a good solution to table it because, yes, if we're dramatically impacting someone that's not here, yes, we should be listening to them, in my opinion.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
No.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
No.
Next, I move to consideration of request to make Wilcox and 7th Street a four-way stop.
So moved.
Support.
Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden.
Yes.
Russell.
Yes.
Vixen.
Yes.
Cuthbertson.
Yes.
Giovanelli.
Yes.
Peterson.
Yes.
Ray.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we move to report from the Paint Creek Trailways, DDA and PSD. I will move to Paint Creek Trailways first. Mayor Pro Tem.
Yes, we had a very lively meeting with even music at our meeting. But we have the bridge at 33.7 is moving forward. We had our key meeting, and I really would love maybe the city to sit on some of those meetings so that we can take a look at what they're doing with that bridge so we can address our own bridge. That might be coming up fairly soon.
Get some good ideas.
So get to good ideas. And then they're moving forward on the Lake Orion Township being part of the possible council, the commission, and they're still looking at extending that trailway to Children's Village in Lake Orion. So that's kind of on the docket currently.
Thank you. Councilmember Peterson, DDA.
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. So at the DDA meeting, there was a brief discussion regarding the Brownfield interlocal agreement. There was an economic update by Nick Banda with a lot of good information. Also, the discussion regarding the sustainability analysis that is being requested. Also, Nick and Christy will be attending Rochester High School Small Business Program again this year. They're looking forward to it with the Shark Tank program that they attended in the past. Also, they're getting ready to set a ribbon cutting date for the pocket parks. Christy's not here, so I'm not sure if that's been finalized yet. Also, awesome news that the Holiday Expo at the Royal Park has sold out, and everyone is asked to attend that. Also, we have Opposed is coming up on October 6th, and we also had Farm to Table this past Sunday. I'm not sure how that attended,
I think
but
it was
sold out.
Sold out, and it was hot.
It was hot. That we know it was hot. So, and those are. Let me make sure I don't miss anything. Oh, and also the discussion regarding the pockets parks is that they're almost completed. They're looking at finalizing the plaque information that would go on there, so they should have more updates on here soon. And also there was discussion of the Sunrise Pinnacle Awards that's coming up on October 20th at the Royal Park.
Thank you. PSD, Mayor Pro Tem.
There was lively discussion about gravestones and ghosts. And I have to say that I thought it was very, when we put the conversation together, I thought it was very well done. I think we probably could have done some better communication, but I think we have to be innovative, and we can't just have, we have to try things. And in the costuming, it was period costuming. It's not anything that was out of the range that we felt that would have been really a cool educational piece to marry into an event. But we're not trying it this year. We'll see what happens in the future. So that was a big piece of the conversation. We did, Nick, what else did we talk about? The pardon?
Caroling.
Oh, yeah, the caroling in the city. We talked about that. And then we proved that tonight. And then basically, I think that was pretty much it.
Thanks. All right, new business for referral and miscellaneous. Consideration of a report and requested moratorium on vaping and land uses allowing the on-site use of vaping products in multiple tenant commercial buildings. Mr. City Attorney?
Yes, thank you. I'll give it just a brief comment. I was asked to put together a moratorium for discussion tonight regarding the use of vaping equipment and land uses regarding that allow for on-site use of vaping products. I would so what I have before you is a proposal that for discussion. I would like to address. I know Mr. Zook is not here. He made a comment about a kid's vaporizer. Such a use that this is clearly by its very terms only pertains to permits and approvals for vaping and vaping lane uses in multiple unit commercial buildings. This is not talking about somebody using a vaporizer at their house. So I just wanted to point that clarification out as well. I believe that Councilmember Cuthbertson would like to speak on this matter.
If I could just real quickly, this moratorium is for a 90-day is the length, just so that there's some reference here for this discussion.
Thank you.
So I would probably call on I'm going to go, is there any comment from the audience on this item? If you'd like to come forward now, and then I will close the comment and council will deliberate. So now is your time. Anybody want to speak, or you, I know you introduced yourself earlier, so.
This is all new to me, so is that what we should do, or can we speak and then us come up there?
Why don't you come forward and I'll kind of.
Introduce yourself, explain what it is you're doing. Some of it is quite picture.
Hi, yeah, sure. Hi, I'm Nick Delphin. I'm Maurice Hart's business partner, 109 South Main Street. So we are opening a retail vape store. It is not a lounge. There will be no inside hanging out. It's not a hookah lounge. So a little bit background, we opened this business. We have one in Macomb right now. And we opened it up because his father smoked 2 packs a day. And he was greatly impacted when he saw his father actually switch to vaping. And how much does he smoke now?
None.
So it actually helped him completely stop, which that's the main goal. We have very professional stores. We've been into a lot of vape shops that have a negative annotation to it. So I just want to speak on what our main mission is as the community is to help everyone become healthier, stop smoking, and to explain that it is not a hangout shop. It is buy your things and then leave. And then I'm sure he has something else he would like to say.
We have some photos of our current store if you guys would like to see them.
You can leave them with the clerk, and she will make sure we get a copy. Thank
An
you.
idea of what it is that we would bring to Rochester.
Why don't you
Other than that, is there any questions that you guys have for us? I know vaping is a newer thing that has been brought to the market, and I know there's probably concerns on your end. If we could clarify anything.
Did council have any questions that they wanted to ask at this time?
Well, I guess my only concern is everything that I've heard with the presentations that our police department did bring forward to us is, how they're misconstrued and, the ones that have things in them and you don't know what's in them and all of that and how that's posed a danger. I appreciate the fact that you're bringing it forth to get healthy. I think that's awesome. I don't know enough about it either, so I have to rely on my police force to give me, more information on this here to know whether or not it's a good decision coming into our community. For the health purposes, I think that's great, and I'd wait to hear more on that. But thank you.
Do you have any specific details on something that we could bring to the table in order to make you more comfortable with allowing it in your city?
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Thank you. The purpose of the discussion is to allow for the Planning Commission to have an appropriate period of time in which to perhaps have that dialogue and create land use rules that would apply to how a business of this nature in a multi-tenant setting would be set up in the zoning code. I'm not convinced that our zoning code adequately addresses that. I think while we're in it, we ought to be talking about the hookah lounge incident as being something that probably not related to vaping, but how we regulate those kinds of businesses as well. That's not necessarily a part of the moratorium as stated, but I think should be a part of the Planning Commission's discussion. And so without having those rules in place, I'm not comfortable that the matter has been properly considered for regulation. 2 meetings ago, I was on vacation, but our school liaison police officer gave a very detailed discussion and expressed great concern about what vaping has meant to high school and middle school students and the sorts of risks that it has presented to those students as being a gateway to other behaviors. And, that was a month ago, right? And so this is a subject that was certainly on the radar for discussion about how do we deal with this from a land use standpoint. So that's the nature of the moratorium. It's not a veto of your business. Understand that. It's, okay, we need to have the opportunity to create a set of reasonable land use regulations for this. Now, having said that, gentlemen, I'm not sure I can agree with the suggestion that this is about being healthy. Superheating chemicals that are at base not real well understood about how they interact with human physiology, is just I don't think the science has reached a point where anybody can say it's healthy, or it doesn't present particular risks. When you superheat these things, all kinds of combinations of chemicals, depending on what you put together, create new chemicals. And so, I appreciate that it may be somewhat better than someone smoking a cigarette. To call it healthy, I just think is a bridge too far for me. So the point is a moratorium that would allow us to have proper regulations. And one of them may well be that there is no consumption on site. Right? That rule doesn't exist today, and you can say that it won't happen, but if you choose to do it later, then there is no rule to prevent that. And that opens up a whole other discussion about what's getting into a common air system in a multi-tenant business, right? Does a business on the other side have a right to be free from that? Some of that lands on the landlord to an extent. But we can foresee those kinds of problems and deal with them from a zoning perspective. So a moratorium is in effect a 90-day timeout to allow us to have that policy discussion to set up those rules. And I think it's a wise and prudent thing to do.
Yeah, and I think it better equips us to make a decision based on the benefits, not you. It's the subject matter. We need to make sure that we understand the subject matter and we understand how this affects every other business moving forward. So for us, it gives us the time to really become knowledgeable on what we're doing, making decisions up here. Just like the discussion we had earlier, it's everybody's best interest and the community as a whole if we understand what's going on, and this 90 days gives us that opportunity to do that. So understand that's why we want to do something like this. So I think the action that you would, yes.
So the action, if City Council is interested in passing this resolution for 90 days, I would, based on the nature of the conversation today, not knowing where this conversation was going to go, the current resolution involves land uses involving on-site use of the vaping equipment. I believe that the business model that I'm hearing tonight is the retail sales of equipment and product. So if that's the intent, to have the moratorium include retail sales of vaping equipment and product, then the direction in the motion would be helpful. Right? I can make that those changes after the meeting.
Thank you.
So do we have,
I'd be happy to make a motion to adopt a resolution for moratorium as expanded to address the retail sales of products and supplies as well for a period of 90 days as set forth in the moratorium.
Support by Peterson. Any other? Yes, Councilmember Bixson.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with what we're doing. I do not claim to be an expert as well, but at Waterford Mott High School, if you vape, you're immediately suspended. It's a big deal. And for you to come in and say it's like a health food store seems really preposterous to me. So, I mean, I think, you need to come back with a different argument for my sake, for my vote in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other discussion on the motion?
Your Honor, who supported it?
Councilmember Peterson. Thank you. Madam Clerk, the roll, please.
Dalden?
Yes.
Yeah.
Russell?
Yes.
Russell?
Yes.
Vixen?
Yes.
Cuthbertson?
Yes.
Giovanelli?
Yes.
Peterson?
Yes.
Ray?
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, we have Mr. City Manager updates, please.
Yep, just a few quick updates. First, the Finance Department, along with my staff and administration, will be providing council with a schedule for the various financial policies that will need to be updated and or created as the city transitions to our new ERP system here in the next couple months. Additionally, I wanted to comment on the community house. We touched on it a little bit. On October 23rd, staff will be talking specifically about our DPW, the community house, as well as a few of the city's other buildings. I'm going to be remaining in touch with the executive director and the chair of the community house, and I will update City Council on their request. I have actually drafted a letter, and I went over that letter with the executive director of the community house and their chairperson. So as soon as I get anything back in regards to those requests, I'll pass them along to City Council. And the final item, I just want to say a big thank you to our staff as they worked pretty hard for the Brooksy Way event. And, I know it was a hot day, and I appreciate all their hard work, for that event.
Thank you. Mr. Deputy City Manager.
I do have one thing. Council, in the manager's report last Friday, I sent out a proposition to talk about what we talked about the last couple of meetings, actually, about the sustainability analysis. It's not a study. I let you know what the Planning Commission talked about. They need some guidance at this point. I think the community needs to come together to have guidance as where we go in the future as development continues to be at the forefront of what we're pounded with every single Planning Commission meeting now. So what I did was we have our existing consultants, McKenna Associates. John Jackson was kind enough to come out and stay tonight. And we use them for a whole bunch of different things. They have traffic engineers, they have economic impact folks on staff, et cetera. So I sat down with John and his staff to talk about what would be the parameters of what this analysis would look like, and ask them to put together a proposal. How much would it cost? How quick could we get it done? What would be the ingredients that we could start with to then bring it to City Council for discussion to try to hone in on what we are really looking to accomplish. is there too much in what we talked about, not enough? And that dictates the price. It's not inexpensive, obviously. It's a lot of hours, it's a lot of work, it's a lot of different factions that have to get involved, from the economic impact analysis, it's not just counting traffic numbers, it's the impact of traffic. Someone talked about really the pressures from outside of Rochester, Oakland Township, Rochester Hills, Shelby, all the impacts that affect us. So I wanted to give that to you to digest. I would still ask you to digest it. Call myself or John, and we could talk about ingredients, bring it to a council meeting. We need to keep this moving forward because, to be fair to the development community, there's people in the Planning Commission that would like the Planning Commission to act. The Planning Commission is not comfortable acting on some of these big projects without understanding the ramifications of what they bring. This isn't a whoever's in first, and I said this before on TV, whoever gets the Planning Commission first wins. It's not that. We can't do that this way. We have to look at sustainability. We sat on one over the 11 projects in town that will have an effect on traffic, pedestrian movements, how we interact with pedestrians, green space, the need for green space, building heights, how they fall into the existing new master plan categories. So I would hope that in the next 14 days we can kind of start getting comments in to dial this down, to ask for a request to proceed with this, knowing that funding could come from various sources. When John and I sat down, we talked about our fees for site plan review are absolutely ridiculous. They're $350. In Auburn Hills, the same project is $3,500. We haven't changed our fees in maybe decades. It's just the way it is because it's always balanced itself up. But we're paying a consultant every time they review a plan. You don't have a planner on staff. We don't have traffic engineers, so we're paying for that out of the $350. A special exception adds another $300. That's one portion. The DDA is affected. A lot of the developments are in the DDA district. Maybe they should participate. We threw that by them. I think Councilman Giovanelli brought that up, like, hey, this has got to be a partnership. Developers will not have to spend as much money on a traffic impact study or an economic impact study. There's a way to build into our fee structure, them not having to pay that, but maybe to pay into the pot that helps pay for this study, because it will be our controlled model, and then they can plug into it, which would save time and energy. So, again, I'm not asking for a decision tonight. I promised the Planning Commission I'd keep this thing moving forward. So if you can get to myself or John, if you have anything else you want to add, but in the next couple of days or weeks, so we can keep this moving forward. You have the right to say we're good. The Planning Commission feels strongly, as the staff, that I think this is needed to help us guide the future development.
Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Expounding on the point, I mentioned this subject at my last Planning Commission update, that this request was coming to City Council, that the Planning Commission identified a need to augment the professional staff team and to create this mechanism to help move from a review standpoint on an individual plan into a planning exercise that puts these things together as a part of a greater whole. And that's important, right? And we need to do it immediately now, if not sooner, because the press of development is here. Candidly, this is something, that might have been better done during the recession, right? So we had this in place, but we didn't know where exactly the core of the development necessarily was going to fall. I mean, to some extent, the Southern Crescent was kind of, vacant property, but I would have been just fine having this on an agenda tonight. Some of my colleagues would maybe be less comfortable with that, but I've been seeing the need of it. And, to be fair to the development community, one of the things that has been a strength in Rochester is if it's a special project, the conversation's a little bit longer, but we're still generally getting that done in some cases, 90, sometimes up to 150 days. That's pretty short in a discretionary zoning, more discretionary zoning setting. And that speed to market is a strength that we have. And so the sooner we can get this tool in place, the sooner we can put these things together in a more meaningful way and get moving on what's in front of us. Because, 90% of development decisions have to do with timing, right? When can I get this to market? And what is my product in that timing window? And the longer that goes on, people's pro formas change, the markets change, our opportunity to get the right kind of investment could be impacted by our spending, too long dallying about committing to this idea. So I think I'm preaching to the choir a little bit, but maybe for the benefit of others listening, that this isn't us just looking at site plans anymore. This is us looking at the community more broadly. So,
And just to
let's go.
piggyback, DDA, I spoke at great lengths about this project and how, because I've been sitting on planning, how important this is right now, because we don't want the first one, you don't want the last person in to be the one that gets denied. And you have to look at this, and I use this term all the time, but you have to look at this holistically. We have to look at this strategically. How does this fit for the overall benefit or not benefit of the community? So I think, Nick, you're going to be bringing it to us at next council meeting. You want to get everything, finished on the mayor's comment?
Yeah, and I guess this, just to, and I understand that you want our input, it's just that we have so much responsibility up here, and we're just trying to get from the couple of weeks, and this is hard to say, okay, well, this is what I think, when there's so many pieces to the puzzle that if you're not sitting on planning commission or you're not sitting on one of those DDA, when you're not sitting on those boards, I might not even know what to ask or what input to have. So it's very difficult until we have like a discussion to even offer you something.
Well, I agree, but I will tell you this, I would want you to come see me one-on-one so I can, individually, we can do that and talk about it. We talked about it collaterally with a bunch of different folks, but I would not expect you to know what to ask. And it's our job to bring what is needed to fulfill the task. I have that in front of me. That what he wrote is what we need to get. So it's always good to have a discussion, and perspective, and I've had it with a few of you already. So that's just part of our dialogue. So I would welcome that.
Okay.
I want to give you a good example of something that you wouldn't have thought of. And I'm going to call out PAR here a little bit. We're working with the state and the county right now because PAR's got to make a huge decision. They were bought again. So Endo got bought, and they have to make a decision about a $200 million investment for 200 jobs that pay well into the six figures, and they're going to pick a spot. It's going to be Rochester, Michigan. It's going to be India, not Indiana, India. So for them to do that, one of the questions they ask the state and the county and us is, well, where are my housing opportunities around here? I hear people in Metro Detroit aren't real big on apartments. Well, some of our people would like to get a condo or an apartment within the area. What's your philosophy on that? In this decision, in this document, we will talk about what those stresses are and who wants what from us to keep people in the community. It's part of the whole, not just a tax-based buildup, but how do you make yourself desirable for employment centers? And employment centers bring people to live here, to shop here, to spend their money here. So it gets all tied up into this big matrix, and that's all we're looking for is that. I hope that you would know more than us about that, Kim, because I'll be gone, because it's so complicated.
It is complicated.
It is, and that's we're not jamming you to do this. It's a lot of money, but I think we can, with a good heart, know right now we need this. I've been doing this a lot of years, and you can't be a prophet in your own town. You have to get the backup in order to say no to people, quite frankly, or say yes to people. You have to have the backup.
Yep. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
One factor that, Nick, you started to touch on that is important at Planning Commission is mix between ownership versus rental. What is that Goldilocks zone where, it fits together? And so, that's a part of this discussion as well. And it's a pressure point in this community politically, right? Is everything going to be an apartment coming in, right? And understanding what we have, what other communities do, but I don't have to plan to another community, but what seems right to us so that we have actionable data and policy to be able to make decisions, yes or no, and have something that backs us up other than,
Yep. In every corner.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and here's another thing. Look, we need it now. I don't really like to jam my colleagues, but it needs to happen.
Well-
And we at some level we need to be able to understand that we're all liaisons. We all shoulder some of the work, right? And we try to trust each other's judgment to an extent when there's something that is really important. That you look to your colleague and say, I understand what you're saying, or can you help me understand these issues so that we can have a dialogue about it? So I've gone on long enough. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Clerk.
I do have an election update, Your Honor. Ballots were received last week. Machines were tested for accuracy today, and absentee ballots will start being mailed next Monday, October 2nd.
Thank you.
And I did leave a machine open and operating in the back of the room for anyone who just wants to take a look. It does function the same as the old machines. It just has a different look to it.
Great.
And they're hack-proof now.
Allegedly.
I'm
Allegedly.
kidding. They were hack-proof before. I'm just.
Yes, they were.
Vote
Don't
early
go
and vote
down that
often.
road. Remember, if it's
Yeah.
spoken in
Paper
the
only,
city.
paper only. That's it.
Mr. City Attorney,
Nothing, thank you.
Councilmember Bixon.
Yes, just the weather being nice and being out and about, I want to thank the police chief that the bike patrol person is in the neighborhoods. And again, I think it's nice to have that person around. The two officers are very friendly, good public relations, but also it's good to have police out and about. So thank you, Chief.
Councilmember Ray.
No, don't do it.
Don't do it.
You got to do it. Go for
Say,
it.
I put too much time into this. I just got one thing to report.
What would that be?
On September 16th, 2017, for Grizzly or Pioneer, there was only one place to be seen. History was in the making as the Grizzlies prepared to maul when the black and gold took their home field, yes, to play football. Students, faculty, and alumni alike sat shoulder to shoulder. The air was electric and the anticipation smoldered. But then, with a simple kick, an urban legend was shattered. Oakland, yes, Oakland has football and is considered the National Club Football Association standard. The Michigan Patriots played their best, but the final score was 48-14. The Grizzlies' first game was a big win, just as I had foreseen. Then this past Saturday, the Grizzlies visited good old Sparty. They left with a score of 39-20, and that OU bus sounded like a house party. It's strange to think back. We all thought the rumor was true. When it came to college football, there would never be an OU. But if you listen very carefully, when Oakland University plays football, you can hear the ghost of Matilda Wilson cheering all the way from Meadowbrook Hall.
Thank you. Councilmember Giovanelli.
There was a Sparty. There was a U of
Not that Sparty, right?
No.
Although they had a similar outing. No, I just was to Stuart's point about seen the police on bike. I actually saw the Segway cop rolling up University. I think he may have been going to get the sandwich at Jimmy John's or something. But,
He goes and closes the cemetery.
but I was like, whoa, what the heck is that? And I was like, yeah, right up University. So it's nice to see the guys and gals out in the street. So I appreciate that. And don't hesitate to hydrate in these temperatures, right?
Yes. Councilmember Cuthbertson.
Nothing that my colleague Robert Frost and I could
I thought it was Dr.
upstage him.
Seuss, like
Yeah.
the grickle grass grows.
Councilmember Peterson.
Just a couple things. One, Rah is hosting a Heroes and Villains run. It's a 1-mile kid run on October 6th at 6:15.
Not at the cemetery.
It's almost sold out. Nope,
Too
it's at,
soon?
it's at Rah. And it's going to be, everyone's excited about it. And adults can actually pick up their T-shirt too for that if they're going to be there. Also, I had another resident bring up the fact about our unsolicited newspapers And I did explain to him because I guess he's emailed all of us and 5 times and no one's received an email. So
I have not.
I know. So I said, well, I will bring it up because I know some stuff gets quarantined and spam.
It's probably, if he has a ci.mi, it's gone now. And
And that might have been that. So
there's still some of those out there.
So I brought it forward for him. Also, regarding that, because I told him that we did discuss this prior and that the First Amendment thing was one of the arguments, and he said, well, there's nothing to read and it's all advertisements, so it's something to actually probably look at again.
Commercial speech is still somewhat
Commercial.
protected.
Well, I know, so I'm doing that. And then also, something else?
Yeah, if I may, I talked to Councilman Peterson this morning. If anybody's watching still, don't put your leaves out at the curb for another month. You have to bag them, and the recycling folks will pick those up, put them in the trash. We're not ready for that yet. I know they're starting to fall, but we're not prepared to do this at least for 2 weeks. Shannon said maybe 3 or 4 weeks, but we'll evaluate. If all of a sudden we have a big windfall, we'll reevaluate. But at this point in time, it was about a month off from last week. So if people would please
put your leaves by the
bag them
road,
up still.
please.
Yep.
Bag 'em
Thank
up.
you.
Thank you. Anything else?
We'll add that on our website too, just so that everybody's
Okay.
there to reinforce it.
Mayor Pro Tem?
Nothing this evening.
Anything from the audience? Meeting adjourned.
Down with the grickle grass.
Total Info, Sports.